Welcome to the Hey Hi Virtual Awards. I don't like how close that camera is. I'm gonna back that up a little bit. Give me a second. Okay. Now we're ready for the virtual awards. How is everybody? Merry Christmas. Thank you for being here for the virtual awards. I really look forward to this because this is an opportunity to give our guys the time that they're due and the attention that they're due. Let me fix my camera a little bit here. There we go, much better. Thank you everyone for being here for the virtual awards. Those of you that are watching live, if you are watching live, let me know there in the chat. Knowing that there's people here that I know really helps give me some life as I talk this morning, because I'm just in my basement talking to the storage. So knowing that as soon as I get people that check in, give some life to this. And so I would love to see you guys check in and know that you're watching here, whether it's you, your family, your boys. Not sure who would be watching, but thank you for being here for the virtual awards. We had a great season this year. Gosh, so much to say about it, which we're gonna do this morning. You can see there under my camera, you can see that you can see the order of events. That's the order I'm gonna do my best to stick to. Last year we went for almost 2 hours. I don't expect anyone to stick around and stay glued to their TV for 2 hours, but you know, maybe it's on in the background at your house as you clean up after Christmas. The Bruckers are in the house. Carter Brooks in the house. Welcome, guys. Thank you for checking in. Make sure you keep checking in. Any of the Hey Hi Football family, if you're here and watching. This is going to be a great little morning. Like I said, it does take a while, and I'm going to take my time. And that's why I like doing it like this, so that I can truly take my time and go through everything. An overview of our season. Gosh, what a season, man. We got a couple new coaches in, and we had to get to work this spring. I mean, really get to work, right? Because if you're going to do anything well, if you're going to be any good at this game, it takes an extreme amount of coordination. Like, you're going to do this while I do this, while you do this. And you have to have so many answers planned out before you get to the season. It just takes an extreme amount of planning. So myself and the other coaches, hey, Trojas are watching from Iowa. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. You know, as you start planning things out, and then we got into the summer, you start lifting, and right away we just had really good attendance from our kids. So, in case you didn't know how important summer attendance is in the weight room, it is crucial. And now here we are 3 years into my stint here, starting to get enough strength to compete at a high level. And you saw it this year on the field. Bachelman's in the house. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for being here. You know, as the summer for me is mostly anxiety, especially this year was mostly anxiety. And it was anxiety because you guys that have been around for a while know the last 2 years how difficult they were. And the anxiety on my end was coming from the fact that I was so desperate for us to not be bad anymore, right? You know, so my first year here, we actually competed. We weren't able to get very many wins, but we competed pretty well. And then next year, we didn't compete as well. We really struggled to move the ball. And now this year, as we came into the summer, I'm going, I can't let any stone be left unturned to give us a chance to compete this year, right? And all of you guys know how tough our conference is. Hey, how's my sound, everybody? Is the sound okay? My mic is working well, because I can't hear it. I just hear myself. So let me know if there's any sort of audio problems. If the background music's too loud, or if my mic's too loud or too soft, let me know. Lash family in the house. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for checking in. Like I said, we go for a while this morning. Put it on in the background, walk around, do what you want, come back to it. It'll also stay on YouTube for a while. I had said last year that I thought it would stay on YouTube for a couple weeks. but it's still up. So it's been up for a year. Let's start getting in the kind of the overview of our season. As I said, the summer was anxiety, and our attendance was good. Our moms did an incredible job at our summer events, providing fruit for the boys. Everybody at Maroa Forsyth event loved it, loved having us there. And you could see when we were at the Maroa 7-on-7 this summer, you could see the signs of good things to come. You know, Maroa started off the 7-on-7, our 7-on-7 with them, started off with their JV in. And we were up at halftime, and so then they brought their varsity in, start storming back, you know, and their spread everything, and they had to pull out all the stops to beat us at the last second. It still came down to the last play. Bach says the background music might be a touch high. There you go. I turned it down just a touch. Gresham's in the house. Welcome, guys. Brown's in the house. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for checking in. So it was at Maroa that you started to see signs, and some of the things that you guys didn't see as the families was some of the live football that was happening earlier in the day. And again, you could see, there's some things there. We're moving the ball, you know, and again, coming off a year where we really struggled to move the ball. So really cool to see. And that's when we started seeing some of those things come together. And by the time we got to our home event against Warrensburg, Argenna, and Triopia, honestly, I felt like we looked like the best team there. And then all of a sudden you're going, hey, I am confident, and I remember saying this, I'm confident we are better. That's what I kept saying. We are better than we had been a year ago. And then we get into the season. It was a long, grinding season. And then after we beat DMAC was when I know everyone went, oh my gosh, we're pretty decent. You know, you didn't know what Hancock had, what West Hancock, there's just no idea what they have. After the first game of the year, you don't know, like, are we good? Are they good? Are we bad? Are both teams bad? Stockton just smashed us. Although, somebody had said later, like, I'd like to play Stockton again. And I was like, don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if I would say I'd like to play them again. They were stinking good. I don't know if we could have beat them by the end of the year. I know this, we learned a lot from that game. When we got into when things weren't going right early, we kind of bailed from our plan, our offensive plan, and what we were hoping to do. And we learned from that after watching that film, and I think you saw that when we came back, and then, you know, we beat Tremont the next week. Tremont wasn't very good this year, but now we're 2-1. We go into DMAC, and you know, right away, we can't move the ball right away. I mean, they were a very good-sized team. They were expecting to be good. This is the team they've been waiting for. They had just shut out Gibson City. Or no, they had shut out Gibson City week 2, just got beat by Leroy week 3. And when we first come out, like, we can't move the ball. We punted away. And we didn't go away from who we were. Like, we didn't just start chucking the ball in the air and thinking we can't move the ball on these guys. No, we stayed true to our plan and kept running our stuff inside, and then boom, about 3 plays into that second drive, called a sweep play to Cooper, and he took it about 60 yards to the house. And then we made a stop. They punted us. We're back on our 5, and Tyler Wills takes a tango, which is a little counterplay, tackle trap counterplay, takes tango to the house. And at that moment, you know, 14-7, it was like, oh my gosh, we are playing good football, really high-level football, at least for the first time in my time at Hayworth, and the excitement was on. So really cool to be a part of. You know, ended up going to Fieldcrest, jumping out early. They really had a quarterback and a receiver we couldn't handle. You guys all watched it second half as they picked us apart. We couldn't cover. Couldn't get to the quarterback. He would make us miss. And, you know, those 2 kids came over and played us in basketball and tore us up in basketball too. And so when that happened, I didn't feel so bad. I thought, like, they're good athletes. They're really good athletes and hard to stop. But we hung on for the win there, and that was incredible. who would we play after that? Rushville. We were worried about Rushville. Boy, Rushville might have been the biggest, strongest team we played. And they were really just smash-mouth football. Come out, and we're watching film and watching their linemen. They were the most ferocious offensive line I think I had seen in several years. And I'm going, this is a problem. All week we're talking about that as coaches, going, these guys are a problem. It is the best word I had for it. I don't know if we can match up with these guys. They are so physical, so ferocious up front. And we are who we are. Like, we've got some good football players, but as a whole, we're still pups, right? As a whole, right? Up front, we had Devin, who's a tiny D end, and we had Gage, who's a small nose guard, even though he's tough, right? Those two are tough, but they're still tiny. And a freshman D end on the other side, and you're going, can we hold our ground? They might just show up and just run over us. And that game was back and forth for a bit, but in the end, we just proved to be too much, and defense really played well. Our small, scrappy defenders just ended up being too much for them in the end. That game made me really excited. I think after that is when we went over to Leroy, I believe, and excited to play Leroy, and really they were too good for us. And I do think we could have played them better. We did learn a few things from them as well that helped us out when we went to play Calhoun. And we didn't play great against Leroy. And the only good thing about losing, and I tell the boys all the time, they'll hear this, hopefully this is something that they are saying when they're old men, because they hear me say it so often, which is that there is a bright side to losing. And the bright side to losing is that you have the kids' attention. Like, they're listening after you lose, because they know whatever we're doing, we're not good enough to keep winning, right? So you could play the same quality football, but if you get the win, they're not listening as much on Monday film. They're not as clued in. They're just not, because what you say isn't as important, because they're doing what they need to do, which in our mind as humans, we just need to get the win. And so you don't have their attention. So having their attention after a loss is good. And ultimately, we turned into a better football team after losing to Leroy, right? We came out and, I see the bells in the house. Thanks for checking in, Karen. Anybody else, Hey Hi Football family watching, let us know that you're watching over there live. Really helps give me some life. As I was saying, I'm just talking to the storage here. I see there's a mattress in the corner leaning against the wall. So there's no life here. So I just got to know that you guys are watching. That gives me a little bit of life. We're just kind of talking about the overview of our season right now, and just finished losing to Leroy, and then we went to Fisher. And of course, Fisher we wanted to get back on track, and let's get back on track. We could see it. We still didn't have our sixth win, and so we wanted that sixth win to truly, that would make it official. We're in the playoffs for the first time in a decade, and it just kept raining and raining and raining, and I was a nervous wreck. And some of our young coaches, I remember, I would say this, hey, Shepard's in the house, welcome. You know, I'm worried about the game, and I remember Nate Gerard saying he wasn't worried for X, Y, or Z reason, and I remember Nate's so young, Nate's in his first year coaching, and he was like talking like, yeah, I've coached in this a million times. And I'm like, dude, this is your first year coaching. How can you say whether or not you're nervous? But I was like, hey, all right, fine. He ain't nervous. I don't need to be nervous. And ultimately, he was right. We didn't have to be nervous. But I wasn't totally wrong, because if you saw the first 3 minutes of that game, the water was a problem. It was a problem. We couldn't hang on to the ball. They make two incredible catches. And next thing you know, we're losing 12-0. And you want to talk about a miserable feeling. The pit in the bottom of my stomach, when they caught that second ball to go up 2 scores, that was tough. How many of you guys remember that? That was a rough moment. But of course, we were the far superior football team, and we took off from there. By the end of the game, ended up right where I thought we would be, which was trying to get guys out of the game and trying not to score. And that was where we were by the end of the game, trying not to score. You don't want to score 70 points. That just doesn't make you look good with a conference opponent, so you're trying to hold the score down. And that's where we ended up by the end of the game, thank goodness. And then comes Gibson City. And Gibson City had just knocked off Leroy. And the number of times that I was told, hey, you've had such a great season, once you lose to Gibson City, you'll go into the playoffs 6-3. You're still a good-looking, it's still an incredible season, more than anybody expected. Hey, the Wills family in the house. Welcome, Wills. Thanks for checking in. The number of times I heard that, well, then you're going to lose to Gibson City. Playoff projections getting sent to me. We're 6-3, we're 6-3, right? And all those 6-3, we're 6-2 at the time, but that would assume we'd lose into Gibson City. And at the time, I'm going, stop sending me this. We're not 6-3. Like, we're going to go beat Gibson City. And I really did, in my heart, and I'm stubborn, old man, just a stubborn old competitor. You cannot think in any other way. Now, whether or not I truly believed it, like, let's say belief starts here in your brain, and how deep can the belief go? I don't know how deep the belief went for me. I don't know how deep my belief that we were going to beat Gibson City was. But I know one thing that I grew up believing and being taught, which was there's only one way to compete, and that's the assumption that you're winning. You have to compete like that. We're going to win. How do we prepare to win? Again, this like, is it propaganda? I don't know. It's what I truly believe, and I truly believed. How deep was the belief? I don't know. I can't define it. We're going to beat Gibson City. So we're not 6-3. Stop telling me we're going 6-3. We're going to beat Gibson City. Now, ask me again after that first drive Gibson City put together and scored on us in about 5 plays. It was like a knife through butter. Would I have still believed? I don't know. They were good. But after that first drive, they didn't score again. The kids played incredible. Our defense was swarming. We did just enough offensively. A couple big plays. I've got highlights later, and you'll see some of those big plays. What a game by the kids. And, Gibson City had just beat Leroy, and the week before had lost to Forreston, who was the number 3 ranked team in the state, by a point. Had them beat. So we were playing high-level football, and then we go into Calhoun, catch a really tough draw. Calhoun beats us. It's a great game, and then in a 4-minute window, right, it's a punt return to the 1, a pick 6, and one nice drive by them. And in a 4-minute window, the game changes from 14-13 us to we're down 35-14. So that's tough. That's tough. But Calhoun goes on to play Camp Point Central and gave Camp Point Central the best game of their year 2 times in the year. Calhoun played them better than anyone else until the state title game. So Central goes on to be the state champs. That's how good Calhoun was. So you look at the level of football that we're playing by the end, it was incredible. Turn down that background music more. Thanks for telling me, guys. Let me know. Coach Espo in the house probably went out hunting this morning and then came back in to watch some awards. Thanks for checking in, Coach Esposito. So yeah, that Calhoun game, did I want to lose 42-14? No, I didn't want to lose 42-14. But when you dive in, you look at the game, you look at where we are, where we're coming, it was a very competitive game, and we played good football. And at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. You can control it yourselves, and we played good football. They were better than us. Really big, strong, physical team. Felt bad for some of our itty-bitty linebackers and DBs bouncing off that 220-pound fullback. He literally looked like a 30-year-old man in the pregame. I thought, that kid, holy cow, he looks like somebody's uncle. All right, well, that was the overview of our season. To keep myself on track, last year I stopped keeping track of where I was. And then what happened was I forgot to do a couple things I wanted to do. So I'm going to go in here into that running text below and delete the things that we've already done. And now I'm on to thank yous. So thank you, everyone involved. And the thing that makes me nervous about thank yous is I know I'm going to forget to thank somebody. But You can't do football without a huge army of people. You're right. You have to have an army of men. You have to have an army of young men, young players, which is why I'm constantly recruiting. And there are people probably in the building that get annoyed with me, constantly recruiting, constantly asking kids to play. But I truly believe that that's the job. Like, that's the part of the job. If you decide to be a football coach or a wrestling coach, those two sports, both of those sports, you are constantly recruiting. You can't stop. You never know which kid's going to be a game changer for you. It's not always just the superstar athletes. Like, you have to have superstar athletes too. But you also have to have those farmer kids that have never played a sport, but they're strong as heck, or they're tough as nails. And you have to have everyone. Again, the mix of kids that haven't grown up playing sports. They're going to grow into grown men too. And the half of the team, the other half of the team, are the kids that have always been good at every sport. And so you have to have an army of young men, and our numbers have grown. But I got a little list here of thank yous that I need to give, and so I'm going to give these thank yous, and without a doubt I'm going to forget somebody. And just know that it's not intentional. I mean, I forgot my son at a rest area once, and I love him. I promise, I love him. But I left him at the rest area, so sometimes you forget stuff. My first thank you, my guy Sam Andrews, for the last 2 years has been an incredible help just with whatever we whatever we have, right? He's playing 2 sports in the fall, and then any extra time he comes over to practice and helps us film, helps us with what we need. So Sam, thank you for being there for us. We can see, there you go. The Andrews family is here in the house. Welcome, Andrews family. Glad you're here to catch that one as well. Kevin Hernandez Zuno technically plays for us. He got hurt July 26th, got hurt and didn't come back again. Some strange little knee injury he's been taken care of. He says he's been cleared. He says he feels better now. But Kevin, I always admire a young man who, after getting hurt, doesn't check out, right? Stays with you. And Kevin was like our number one guy on the camera, filming every practice and there for us. Huge thanks to Matt Troja. All the help that he gives, scoreboards and checking in with me on road games. Do we need somebody to film? So he's just always checking in and asking how he can help. So thank you. Gresham and Brooks for running the stats. Taking stats is a huge chore, I know, and so thankful. I know that also Chad Klein helped with stats a couple times. Thank you, Chad. Bockelman and crew, man, Brian Bockelman was my guy on the chains, and I could just send out a text to Bockelman, and he took care of it. And some of those guys, all you guys that helped Bockelman on the chains, I think Romer was on it. I think Holy Vote was on it. I think Fulcher was on it at one point. So all you guys with the chains, thank you. Obviously, you can't run a game without you guys. Michelle Wills, who I kind of chuckle because Michelle's all over my case. She makes sure that I got this crap done for the kids. Always there scrapping and fighting for the boys. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you for staying on my case. I don't worry as much about things that people like Michelle Wills and Jonna Gresham worry about. And so thank goodness that we have those ladies, because they take care of your boys. They make sure your boys are fed on away games. And because without them, I don't know that they would get fed. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. I always take I'm just like, they'll eat later. I don't worry about it. So these ladies worry about it, and they keep me on task to make sure your boys are fed. So you guys make sure you reach out to them to make sure, because they're feeding your boys. I'm doing so little with that. I'm working on getting better, but a huge help to Michelle Wills for putting all the work in to get the boys fed, and on pregame meals and on the playoff breakfast. I say just thank you, but the amount of work that goes in, it's countless hours. And Michelle was the point man on that, right? So thank you, Michelle, and for all you ladies that helped with those meals as well. The Thursday night meals at your houses, thank you. I'm very grateful for that. And I know Michelle would and others would add, hey, why don't you come to the team meals on Thursday? And I just want everybody to know I don't go on purpose. I don't not go because I'm lazy. I don't not go because I don't love everybody. I don't go because I've learned over 20 years that even though you don't always want this as a parent, myself, it is a good idea to keep a level of separation between the head coach and your parents. It's a good idea. It's what I was taught by an old man. Just keep it, even though sometimes you don't want to. I try to keep it, and I want the boys to have their time together, and I don't want them to have the old man looking over their shoulder. If they want to be a little ornery, let them go be ornery. You know, it's nice to not have the old man around. I have to play that role at practice all day long, keeping them in line, do it like this and do it like this. And I like that they have time without all ball around, just themselves. Get rid of the old man. So that's my reason. Anybody that happened to ever wonder. A huge thank you to Karen Bell. Thank you, Karen. I go to Karen for all things print, and she just gets it done. Can you get these shirts done by today at noon? What time is it, 11? Yeah, I'll get it done for you. I'm in Florida, but I'll do it anyway. She's always there for us. She's going to get it done, and to have her ready to help us is just a huge blessing. Of course, thank you to our admin. I think about admin and our grounds crew like Josh Slayback. We went to Fieldcrest to play, and their field was, sorry if you're from Fieldcrest. I think it's garbage. I think it's not a good high school field. It's no good, and it doesn't look like they take care of it. So again, no offense to anybody from Fieldcrest. It's just that your grass stinks, and we felt so good to come home and see our gorgeous stadium. And that comes because we have a community that cares about it, and our admin makes sure that they put into the grounds facility, give our grounds crew what they need to make sure it's taken care of. And Josh Slayback does an incredible job making sure it's taken care of. So thank you. To come home to our gorgeous field, it just feels good. And it makes you realize that you're in a community that cares. So thank you guys for being a community that cares. Chris, our trainer, thank you to Chris. Chris is a very nuts and bolts trainer. Like he's no flair. No, he's not gonna tell you what you want to hear. He just keeps it very real, for lack of a better term. And I like having him around. He's good with the boys, and he pushes them, and he keeps them safe. So thank you, Chris. And then last, thank you, of course, to my coaches. Our coaches do an incredible job. The amount of work that they put in cannot even be quantified. On days where it's hot, on days where it's raining, and I ask a lot of them. I ask them to coach at a high level, to hustle around, and to be nonstop. It's really not a comfortable job, and these men are here doing it for us. So we have two volunteers. Kurt Brown and Brian Shepard have both been around for several years now, and I'm so grateful for the two of them and the work that they're doing. Kurt helped with our nose guards, and Kurt does so much with audio visual on game night. Like he'll do anything you ask. Brian is extremely busy over at State Farm, and he gets over to us as soon as he can. Like he drives up. There's not a day he doesn't drive up on his golf cart in a meeting at State Farm, but he's there at our field because he wants to be there for our boys. And Brian now has been with us long enough, like he can do everything. And our staff got big enough that Brian got to kind of oversee several things, like where am I needed in practice today, right? Show up and, I'm needed over there. He could go over there. I need you over here with the D-line. He could do D-line. I need you with the linebackers. Could you go down and run the scout team with this? It just having him there is a huge blessing. Then having him there on game night and up in the box for us is invaluable. So thank you to both of you men for your help and doing so on a volunteer basis. Thank you to our three new coaches this year. Of course, we had Dylan Esposito, who played for us. My first year here was our quarterback. And so to have a guy, you look around at the state and the programs that are good every year. And it's usually because you have a staff that's been there for a long time. And when you get a staff that's been there for a long time, you end up with guys on staff that actually played for that coach. And so it's just a sign of success. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Here we are, the first year where we have a former player on staff with us, and we're getting it turned around. Right? That's not a coincidence to have guys around you can trust. And Dylan's a workhorse. He's just a workhorse. I mean, we had a good young worker last year in Pat Roken, and Pat couldn't join us again this year. And Dylan came in, and he probably outworked Pat, I mean, which I didn't know if you could do at the age of 19, 20, however old Dylan is. But he outworked him, and just a workhorse. So having Dylan around is awesome. Of course, the kids love him. How can you not? Dylan's extremely likable. Coach Gerard, first-year coach, very bright young man, and another workhorse. Do anything you want. He's bought in. He's thinking through what you want him to do. He's thinking about how can we make the program better, and did a great job calling the offense this year. You know, so he suggests a play before every play we run. I don't know if you knew that, right? So I've got the headset on. I've got a player next to me, and Gerard suggests a play, and then I send it in. And I would say I went with this year, it's Gerard's first year, and I would say I went with 50 to 60% of the play calls that Gerard suggested. So when you guys look out there and you're like, what a great play call, the odds are high it was Gerard's play call, you know? So some of them are mine, some of them are his. Like you think about the play call where Wills caught the 4th and 24 against Gibson City. That was Gerard, and, you know, and now I don't know that it was like a magical play call, but it kind of went like this in the headset. It's 4th and 24. They can't move the ball on us. Let's bury him deep. We're going to punt it. It was 4th and 19. And he's in my ear going, Coach, I said, we don't have a play call for 4th and 20. The best we can do is just throw it up. And so we're getting ready to punt, and Gerard's in my ear still going, well, then fine. Then let's just throw it up then. Let's just throw it up. And lo and behold, we get called for a penalty. If not for some sort of penalty, we would have just kicked it. Parker, the snap already went to Parker, but they call it dead. Gerard's still in my ear. Just throw it up then. All right, fine. We'll just throw it up. Move Wills out to X, and we just threw it up. And sure enough, Wills catches it, and nice throw by Parker, and we only had 10 men on the field on that. Bockelman was supposed to go in at F. I'm pretty sure I yelled, hey, Bach, but who knows, you know, he didn't hear it, and he doesn't go in very often, so it's not like he was expecting to have to go in. And we throw it up, and he catches it. But that's Gerard. To tell you that Gerard, he's calling a lot. He's doing a lot. And then over on the defensive side, Mitch Neely, who took over as defensive coordinator and just had a great approach with it. You know, he's like, hey, it's my first year. I don't know this defensive system. We run 3-5-3. You know, I want to learn from you this year. And he learned, and he just listened. And by the second half of the year, there were times, you know, early in the year, he's like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want to call? What do you want to call? And by mid-year, I'm going, just whatever, just call. And then by the last several games, he didn't ask anymore. You know, he knew that I trusted him to call it, and he called it. And if I had like a really strong feeling, for example, I might say, hey, don't blitz anyone this play, then I would tell him. But otherwise, let him run it. And I think that he'll do nothing but take more and more control of that defense. So a huge thank you. Those are my thank yous. So let's open up the text and delete that thank you. Oh, it's done. Now we're on to the JV season. Guys, everybody, thank you for being here. We're going to follow that list right there. So if you know, put us on in the background. Come back if you want to come back, and check in if you haven't already, and let us know. Let us know that you're here. Merry Christmas to everyone. I'm going to take one more drink, and then I'm going to talk JV season. So the JV season, you know, year number one, we barely have a team, a varsity team. We have to cancel JV. We beg enough kids to play 3 JV games at the end of the year. We get smashed in all those JV games, and I've got guys that are varsity players, but they're playing varsity and JV. So that's year one. Year two, we got a lot of talented freshmen, and I feel like our choices are play these talented freshmen at the varsity level. We're still not good enough to win. They're not mature enough, but I think we'll be a little better at the varsity level if we play these freshmen. Or let the freshmen play JV. We're going to take some lumps at the varsity level. There's some teams we can't compete with. Our schedule was incredibly tough that year. And we just let them play JV ball. We let them play JV ball and had a really good JV season last year. really, man, played everybody tough outside of one game and won several games. And then you come to this year. And this year, those freshmen from last year are sophomores now, and a ton of them played varsity. And what you end up with now is a program that's healthy enough to have two levels. You know, I mean, even last year, we had kids that played varsity on Friday and JV on Mondays. And now finally, year number 3, our program is healthy enough and big enough that if you're a varsity starter, you don't play JV football. It would have made our JV football team better, but you don't risk it. Don't risk it. It's about Friday nights. Now, Monday nights are important. It's development for your future, for future Friday nights, but that's what Monday is. Monday is for future Friday nights. And so you got to be thinking of that. And so this was the first year that our program was healthy enough, big enough to have 2 separate teams. And JV football was what I thought it was going to be. You know, we took their 8 best players, 6, 7 best players, 7 freshmen, sophomores that started on the varsity. Not played a lot, started on the varsity. We took their 7 best players and then said, okay, go play football. So what's that be? That means it's tough. It was a tough season, and those kids had to endure it. And you think, you know, you look at those kids and you go, they're all going to be really good football players. But they had to play without their 7 best players. And I know a lot of you parents that were there for it, like, it can be tough. It can be tough. But I thought that our kids did a great job of keeping their heads up, keeping their minds in the right spot, and understanding what the investment was and how it was working towards our future. And a ton of those freshmen and smaller sophomores got to play. And they ran our systems well. So let's shout out these JV players. And I'm going to, let's see, let me pull it up over here, make sure I don't forget anyone. Our JV players this year, they ended up going 1-4, I believe. We didn't get to play very many games. We lost games in there. But we were able to go 1-4, I believe, maybe 1-5. I just counted this last night and I didn't write it down. So forgive me. But let's go through these guys that played on the JV team. Lucas Rutledge was a varsity starter, but he also he was the JV quarterback. He was the only varsity starter we had to have, knowing that he was our second quarterback. If anything were to happen to Parker, Lucas was going in, and I knew he had to have reps. So we sent him to those JV games. He played the entire first half, and our thought was we're going to protect him. Don't let him get touched as much as we can. But he did a nice job going and helping the JV to move the ball a little bit. This next guy only played a couple JV games because he ended up being a varsity starter. That's Tyler Brown, and Tyler Brown was the difference maker on that JV field. You'll see him in some of the highlights that we show. Played a little bit of everything on that JV team. Our next guy, Keegan Gresham. Keegan Gresham played monster, which is an outside linebacker, and tight end. He was a 2-way starter for that JV team, and they had to have him. Wide receiver, Luca Lamesta, the single greatest accent on earth. And if you haven't talked to Luca, make sure you have a conversation with him this year before he heads back to Italy, because it will make your day. Luca did a great job, was fun. He was just fun to have around. You know, he didn't know the game of football, but ended up being an okay receiver. Man, could catch some stuff and make some plays. Our next guy, Timmy Romer, played a lot of wingback and safety for that JV team. Great job, Timmy. Love having Timmy's leadership on that team as one of the older guys on that team. Our next guy, Caleb Troja. Caleb, we made him a quarterback. And I remember when he was an 8th grader, he was like, "You want me a quarterback? Are you sure?" "Yep, sure. You're our guy." And he did a great job there. And he played a lot in those second halves, right? When we would get Lucas out. Now here comes Troja. And he did a great job at quarterback. Made some nice throws, some really nice throws, which is hard to do under the amount of pressure that you're under in JV football. But he played full-time as a DB. Really turned into a good corner for that JV team. And I think you'll see a highlight or two of his when we hit the JV highlights. So great season to Caleb. This next guy didn't get to play much, but I like having him around, so I'll make sure I shout him out, Ashton Keller. And Ashton's had kind of a tough freshman year. But I want Ashton to know that we want him around in our program, and I hope that he's able to to get things on track so that he can be a part of the football team because he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent. Our next JV player is Trevor Soyce. Trevor came out for the first time this year. He's a good wrestler. He's a tough kid, and sure enough, it showed on the football field. Very tough. He'll come up and hit you. He chases well. He played a touch of wingback, and I think they would put him in at times, but for the most part, he was a linebacker for us. He ended up playing some at Mike, some at Hound, but he played a lot of defense for us. And if he decides to stick with it, which I haven't heard otherwise, but I'm hoping he does, I see him fitting in as a linebacker in the future, and it could be a really good one. Braxton Denning, another freshman, and Braxton had a great season. He ended up playing fullback, a very good runner, very talented athlete, as you guys know, great basketball player, and ended up playing middle linebacker. That's a tough place to be in your first year playing football, playing middle linebacker. That's a tough spot and a tough ask, but he did an incredible job. And he's only going to get better in a hurry because it was his first time putting on pads. And all of us have to go through that first year putting on pads where it's uncomfortable. And as he's continued to get comfortable in pads, you just saw him get better and better and better. Great season by him. Our next JV player, Loney Bektasowski. I say often, Loney might be one of the most likable guys on earth. I have him in my fitness class, and he's a joy to have around. He's a very talented big man, and he ended up playing that strong tackle for us, which 90% of the time plays on the right. We do flip our guys, but 90% of the time, he's a right tackle. And he did a great job there. Played just a touch of defense. We really wanted him to focus on that right tackle because I see him fitting in there in the future. Love having Loney around, and I hope that he sticks with us, man, because once he really hits his stride in the weight room, he's going to be a force, and he's going to help us a lot on Friday nights. Next JV player is Jude Longfellow. Jude played center for us, and it was his second year at center. And year number one as a freshman for Jude at center, extremely uncomfortable, right? He would go into games, he's having a bad game, and he's like, I'm done. I don't even want to play right now. This is too much pressure. And then you look at how much he grows up in a year to being a second year JV starter at center. And now he's kind of a rock there, right? Like someone you can count on there. And he did an incredible job. He plays linebacker on defense. I think he'd like to be a D lineman, a DN, so maybe we can move him there next year. He really likes that. He didn't get a lot of time there just because of the other people that we had defensively, but he's really been a rock for us on that offensive line in the JV games, playing center. And my hope, as I told him, I'd like to see him starting for us on the offensive line one day. But I know that he would like to be a defensive lineman. So, hey, the door is open. And he does continue to work hard in the weight room and get better and better. So Jude had a great season. Glad you're with us, Jude. This next guy, Wyatt Haney, played for the first time this year. And Wyatt is kind of a bull. I mean, he is a D lineman. He ended up being probably one of the biggest game changer defenders on that defense, making plays. And again, in a tough season, but a very hard-nosed young man. And he kind of started the year off behind the eight ball because he didn't come this summer. And he didn't come this summer because he was doubting himself. Like, I haven't played before. These guys are going to be too far ahead of me. Should I do it? And we eventually talked him into it, and thank goodness we did, because he's a natural. He's a natural defender, very hard-nosed, and very strong, and very hard to deal with up front, and those are the type of guys you have to have. So loved having you, Wyatt. I hope you stick with it, man. I know he's stuck with it in the weight room. This next young man, Briar Kroger. Briar is so quiet, and I've coached Briar now for 3 years, and he's come out of his shell this much. And if we can keep him coming out of his shell more and more, Briar is going to be a force. Mark my words. He's going to be a force. He is athletic. He wrestles. He's hardworking. He's always there for you. And his day is coming. He played a lot of left tackle for us at the JV. He wasn't a full-time starter at that left tackle. We rotated some other guys, but he played a lot at that left tackle, and he did a very good job. a very good job. And like I said, I think he's going to be a force. I think he's going to be a varsity starter at that same spot in the future. And when that comes, a lot of things you're just a victim to when a kid matures. But Breyer's going to be very good at this game, and he did a great job with the JV this year. And you can even count on him defensively when you need him. Again, those wrestlers can defend, and that's why I'm always begging our guys to wrestle. And a lot of guys that, for whatever reason, I still can't talk into it. But I hope they know that door's always open. You could always join the wrestling team. I think they'll always take it. But Breyer is a wrestler, which makes him a good defender, a good lineman. He's going to be good. Ian Delar, one of our couple juniors that played at the JV level. Delar is strong. And I don't know if you knew this about Delar or not, but Delar is strong. And I love having Delar around. Delar takes a lot of grief from the guys, and he keeps a smile on his face about it and just keeps plugging away. He just keeps going. I can always count on Ian. And over the course of 3 years, knowing Ian and Ian playing for us, he just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. He just cleaned 200 pounds. He deadlifts about 430 pounds. He squats. He's probably one of the best squatters in my PE class. So look out for Ian. My hope next year is to use Ian on the defensive line. And if he keeps lifting and gaining strength the way he is, I think he'll be hard to keep off the D-line. I think it'd be hard to beat out for a spot. And fortunately for our program, we're at a spot in our program where there's competition for spots. Like, you're not guaranteed to just play full time because we have a lot of kids capable of playing. So you got to keep working. So Delar's a force. Look out for him. He's getting very, very strong. Next guy, someone that everyone loves, Braden Kletz. And best hair on the team, Braden Kletz. Best hair on the team. I don't know if you saw the wrestling picture this year. It was like, you see the whole picture and then poof, Braden's hair. I love it. Kletzy plays linebacker and actually plays center. He was Jude's backup for JV center, and he does a great job there. He's learning how to long snap as well, and he's starting to get better and better, so he could be a long snapper for us. He also played outside linebacker. So love having Kletzy around. I want Kletzy to stay with it for forever. I hope he sticks with us till his senior year. He keeps getting stronger. He's one of those guys you can write his name in pen. He will be there. Kletzy will be there for weight training. He'll be there for practice. It's important to him, and he's a great example for the rest of our team because you know he's there, and he's a great teammate. He cheers guys on, right? He doesn't always get to play, but he'll be right there at the front of the line on the sideline cheering for you if you get to play. Even if you get to play in front of him, he'll be right there for you, cheering you on in front of him. And he'll be thankful when he gets his chance. But if his chance doesn't come, he's not going to be a different guy. He's going to be the same guy, no matter how much he plays. And I cannot tell you how much I respect that. Those are the traits really that we want in our boys. Got about 6-7 guys left. We keep plugging away. Man, this next guy, a young freshman, Logan Stout, a tough wrestler, as you know, and which makes him a tough defender. That's why we have him at dog. He started at dog for that JV team. Very hard-nosed kid. Surprised me this year in this way. Can you think of the way that he surprised me? He actually is fast. I didn't know he was fast. He is fast. And I think that it's a surprise to people because when he was younger, just 3 years ago, he was kind of a chubby little kid. And now, 3 years later, he's not chubby at all. He just completely leaned out. And he can move, which makes him a great linebacker. So now you got this hard-nosed kid who's a wrestler, who can run fast and is not scared of contact. That's a linebacker if I ever heard of one. And he did a very nice job for us at linebacker. He's a chaser. He's also a very good lineman, and he is very smart up front. He knows the calls. He's one of those guys that's going to remind you of the rule. And so having those guys around are invaluable because all my linemen are not like that. Some of our boys, you ask them a rule, and it's the 8th day in a row you've worked on this same thing, and they still don't know the rule. But Logan knows it. He's one of those guys that learns it first, and he's one of the guys that gives the other guys the answers to what we're supposed to be doing. So what a great guy to have around. Had a great freshman year. That's Logan Stout. Cameron Hebner played for the first time this year. Cameron's a sophomore and played for the first time. He's kind of a smaller guy, but we put him at guard, and he's a smart one. Again, these smart ones are good to have around. So here's why I knew Cameron had the chance to be a good offensive lineman. He is getting excited about getting stronger in the weight room. That was as a year ago as a freshman. He still loves the weight room. And he's very smart. I mean, he's on our Scholastic Bowl team. And what I didn't expect out of Cameron that we got was he's extremely aggressive. Not kind of extremely aggressive, right? So there's parts of football you can't teach. One of the parts of football you can't teach is aggression. You can't teach it. I'll stand by that. You can't teach it being aggressive. It's just, some kids just have it. And Hebner has it. He's aggressive. And sometimes he's to the point where I had to slow him down. Like, dude, I love that you're aggressive, but you got to take one notch back, right? Let's go from speed 10 to speed 8 so you can be a little more under control. He's just so stinking aggressive. Man, if that's where you start naturally, you're aggressive, we got to slow you down. You got a future in football. 5 guys left, man. This next one, he's way down here because I asked him to change his number. Colton Shepard. I asked Colton Shepard to change his number, and he did. And Colton is like, man, Colton's a jack of all trades. He does a little of everything right now. So he knew how to play guard. He can play quarterback, and he can play fullback. So that's 3 positions that Colton's ready to play at any point in time during the season, and he's ready to go. Now, he didn't end up taking a snap at quarterback this year, but he could have, right? He ran our frames with our kids. He knows how to play quarterback. He controls it. He runs a game very well. He's very vocal. He's just a smart, heady football player. He probably played most. Where would you say he played most? Colton, at dog linebacker or at fullback? He ended up playing the most in those 2 spots. That's where he ended up most this year. But again, he plays most where the team needs him, right? So he kind of is in that spot where it's, hey, for you, Colton, it's not necessarily where you're best. It's where do we need you the most, right? Because he's so versatile. He can do so much. Well, there's a lot of other players that aren't as versatile. They can't learn 3 positions. That's a lot to ask a kid. But Colton did it. And Colton knew 3 offensive positions and knew them well, and ended up this year being used the most at fullback and did a really nice job. He's got good vision. I was excited to see that. Really good vision. And Colton is one of those extremely hard workers, one of those guys that is there every day, will be there every day lifting, every day at camp, works his tail off. And again, I think he played full-time at dog. He's a very good linebacker, has a nose for the ball, and as he gets bigger and stronger is only going to get better and better. Also was our varsity holder. And the day when he got hurt and was going to miss the Gibson City game, that day of panic in our school building as we're trying to train a holder in one day. So shout out to you, Hunter Bockelman, for learning how to hold in one day. But Hunter right away is like, this is harder than I thought. Yeah, Colton makes it look easy, but it's a tough job. So great season, Colton. Mosier. Bryden Mosier's a freshman lineman, and Mosier is ended up probably being the number 1 O lineman in the JV team, the JV squad, right? When we would ask, hey, when it comes to crunch time, where do we need to run? We need to run behind Mosier. He ended up being that number 1 guy. He's smart. He's athletic. And we tease guys like Jared Fulcher. You know, Fulcher, everybody knows how big and strong Fulcher is. But as an 8th grader, our assistant wrestling coach, Coach Butler at the time, would always tell Jared, hey, look out, man. Mosier's going, have you seen Mosier's dad? Mosier's going to kick your butt, Jared, by his senior year. And mostly we say that to encourage Bryden. Like, Bryden was a late bloomer, and but I hope that Bryden knows that all of us, our whole coaching staff, sees Bryden as maybe the future star on the offensive line. He might be that guy. Like, that's how we see him. Mosier's going to be that number 1 guy on the offensive line. And who knows, maybe ends up being the number 1 guy on the defensive line. Again, he's just a late bloomer, but you can see the athleticism. He's athletic enough to play tight end. He knows his job and his rules, and he's strong and physical. And you could see it on the wrestling mat too. So what a great year by Bryden. Played that right guard for us where Calvin plays on the varsity. and played some defensive end. Nate Whalen played left guard for us. Nate wrote to me an email saying he didn't think he'd play in the future and thanked me for a great year. And I hope Nate knows that the door is always open for him. Nate is he's the type of kid you want on your team. A great kid, does everything right. Smart, heady player, played the whole JV season at that left guard. Knows his jobs, works hard, and thank you, Nate, for a good year of service to our program. I hope you change your mind because I'd like to have you around. Noah Fitzgerald is working hard, and he's there in the weight room. We've opened it up in the mornings, and Noah is there. He was one of our freshmen. He might have had the best weight room attendance of the summer for the freshmen. He was awesome. He's always there, always asking questions after practice. Hey, what's the rule on this? What's the rule on this? What if he does this? What should I do? Noah's that kind of kid. He's working his tail off. He didn't get to play a lot this year. He's one of those late bloomer freshmen, and we got him in when we could, but he just keeps working. So look out for Noah Fitzgerald in the future. When you have a hardworking kid who doesn't quit, I'm telling you, they turn into players. They really do, and Noah is going to do the same. And our last JV player is Tristan Crow. Tristan had a great year. Tristan played wide receiver. He could play tight end. He played corner for us. Very athletic, Tristan is. He's one of those late bloomers as well. Reminds me of when I was a freshman. You can see how good he's going to be. Again, very athletic, and did a great job out there at X. And you can see how athletic he is when he shoots a basketball. You guys seen him play basketball? He's a shooter. He's stinking good athlete. So I'm really excited about Tristan's future. And who knows where he'll fit in the future. Tight end, X, corner. He can do all those things. And those are the places where he was used most this year, and had a great season. So that is our JV lineup. Let me head over to the text and update where I am. And then we're going to jump over here to, let me switch my screen right here. Is this the screen that I want? I think this is the screen that I want. Let me pull up my window. Right here. There we go. That's what I want. Now I can jump over here, hit huddle. There we are, JV highlights. Let's take a look at some JV highlights. Just got 10 to 15 plays here. Want you guys to see what we were up to and how we did. Just a couple plays from a couple games. Again, we didn't play a ton of games, so I want you guys to see some of this. But you can see the makings here. This is against, what's their name? Stockton's JV, and this is the beginning of our season. And they're just running our systems, right? The important thing is seeing them running our systems, and there's Denning. And right away, against Stockton's JV, our systems are popping. The things you don't look at as a fan are the kids making the right calls? I mean, I can see here this is an odd front, and the B gap is closed, which means right here, Mosier and Stout, that's the two playing right here, had to make a KO call. And you're counting on the kids to make these calls. Like, it's very important. Do you block it correctly? You make the right call. So Jude is here, and he makes an odd call. And these two over here, Stout and Mosier, make the KO call, and they block it correctly, and it turns into a good play, right? All that up front. And look at our F. Who's that? Tyler Brown. Catch that lead block on the linebacker. Boom. And it makes the play pop. And all the things, you know, those are things as fans, even as coaches on the sideline, you don't see all those things till you watch film. The number of things that have to go right for us to run this play right. Right? And so we come out of the gates, and things are popping against Stockton, and then we fumble, right? And the turnovers really change the game. And that's part of learning the game for young players, right? Again, like we said, Denning's first game in pads. Here it is again. Same play. That's Biggie. And you see Stout and Mosier making a call over there. They go with a split call. Boom, boom. There's Tyler Brown coming through the hole, and it turns into a nice little play. Things I love seeing also is effort. Love to see Timmy carry out that fake out a little longer, but you see effort from the kids. There's Tristan Crow out here blocking and giving great effort. I love seeing kids fall down with effort. Like, sometimes you're going to fall down. So be it. That shows me that you are really giving great efforts. I think this one's a sweep, little sweep play to Tyler Brown. See that fake? Look at that fake. See, that's a commitment to excellence by Rutledge and Denning on that fake. Boom. You can see there's Nate Whalen pulling out number 57. You see number 57 pull? Boom, there's a sweep to Tyler Brown. Great little run. I mean, that's a solid run. Very nice job, fellas. Here we are against Tremont. Boy, how much better the film is at home, right? It's really good. Defensive play. And you can see, I mean, we just overwhelmed Tremont. A lot of these guys out here doing a great job. There's Troha there in the secondary. Gresham there at Monster. There's Stout. There's Shepard. Who's that? There's Kletzy. Denning there in the middle. I think this is Jax right here, who had a good year and ended up not sticking with us. And Jax Crossan makes that play. If you guys know Jax, would love to get him back. There's Ian Delar coming on, aggressive up front. Great job by these kids. Quick look at some offensive highlights. Look at that. Nice little biggie hitting. Look at that. Denning's learning how to run hard. Again, up front, these guys making the right calls to be able to run this play up front, make it work. How about this little seam pass? This was a nice one. Nice fakes. Hey, look at the protection up front. Nice fakes. Great ball to Tyler Brown on the money for a touchdown on sweep right seam pass. This was nice. This was really nice. And again, the protection up front. Here's Loney in here doing a great job protecting. Great play by these guys. Great play defensively. Look at Keegan coming off the edge here. This is on a 2-point conversion, and we stop him, keep him out. Boom, Keegan's job, keep everything inside. He does. Great job on this play right here. Boom. Here's a great defensive play. Caleb Troha with the knockdown here. Nice job. I'm telling you, these guys are playing good football. And again, just by nature of when you take their best 7 players away, yeah, it's going to be hard to come out and dominate people. But they're playing good football, and you can see evidence of this. Love it. Here we go with a wheel pass. Again, the protection up front is great. Wheel pass to Tyler Brown out of the backfield. Great fakes. Great composure there by Rutledge. Great play. Another biggie. Nice play here that Denning rips off. Great backside scoops here. Look at the second level block getting up here by Keegan. Really great stuff. Now we flip the formation. Look at this sweet play. Good fake. Boom. Tyler Brown really makes a nice play. Makes people miss. Great stuff by Tyler Brown and the rest of the crew. Little defensive play here against Tremont. Yeah, the Tremont game was the best matchup for our kids. They were the only other team that whose JV team was in our similar boat. You can see Soyce here. Look at Soyce closing down late. Boom, you can see how aggressive he is. There's Stout in on the tackle. I can see the 66 there. Nice job, fellas. Boom, nice sweep play here. There's Timmy getting loose on a sweep. Great fake. Great execution. Look how hard he runs. Look at that nice hard run at the end. Sheds a tackle, keeps running, carries another guy 2 yards. Great stuff. Here we go at DMAC. A couple nice passes here. I think that's Lucas to Crow. I think that's Rutledge to Crow right there. Boom. 91. And this one, I think, is the same. I think this one's Lucas to Crow. Boom. On a fade, 93. Nice catch. Great job. And then back to the beginning. So there we go. There is our JV season in a nutshell. Those guys deserve to to get that little bit of attention that we gave them, because again, it's hard. It's a hard fought season. They did a great job battling for our team. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. We are on to the varsity season now. I'm going to take about a 30-second break here, and you guys do the same, and know that we are coming back to varsity football in about 30 seconds, and we're just going to spend the next hour talking varsity football. Again, maybe I'm on in the background in your house, however you're doing it, or maybe you'll come back to this later, but I want everybody to get their due time. So quick little 30-second, 60-second break here, and then we're going to come back and talk Hayworth football, varsity. Oh, I'm going to do one more thing. Switch out my battery. Okay. It's go time for varsity football. And boy, did we have a year. I'm going to kick things off with some screenshots here. Let's see. How did I do this? There we go. Screenshots. So we spend a ton of time as the varsity in film. A lot of time. We spend a lot of time in film, and the kids do a great job with it. But something little and fun that we do is just for like comedic relief. We'll screenshot something funny that happened. There's really not a lot of these. There's like 10. And it probably happens more often where we screenshot something and then I don't end up saving it for the year. And there's even one or two drawings in here where I'm like, I don't even remember this one or what I was saying or thinking. But this is just something fun that we do. And the kids knowing that like it could get screenshotted and shown at the end of the year, just add something fun to film. So I want to show you some of these screenshots. This one here, do you know what you're looking at this one? Look at that. You can see sometimes we just give the kids a hard time when they're in here at practice and going, hey, this is varsity defense time. And you go, what are you looking at? Dylan is out here running for yards, and you are stuck here standing looking in. And I can't remember, this is before we put on the Piranha jerseys. I don't even remember who number 1 is. Is that Tyler Brown? I can't even tell who that is, so I don't remember who that is. But these are fun moments that happen in class. This one was one of my favorite screenshots. And what we're saying here, here we are, this is game 1, I think. Is this against West Hancock? I think it is. And we're watching film, and in game 1, our fakes, the level of fakes our boys were carrying out, weren't what we were hoping for or shooting for. And so we're rewatching film, and this is right after, see, Brucker just takes off with the ball here. Brucker's gone, and you see Tyler Wills, Cooper Johnson, or I think that's Cooper, and Parker Bell. All 3 of them are just watching Brucker run. Right? So if you're watching Brucker run, what's everyone on defense doing? They know you don't have the ball. So as we said in this one, like, what's the difference of you holding up a sign saying number 34 has it, I don't have it? Like, you're literally telling everybody, hey, I don't have it. Let me hold up a sign if 34 has it. And so we take the time and film to draw all three of these guys with their hands up in the air holding the number 34 sign. This one was one of my favorite ones of the year. It's just a fun little outtake. Kevin's our man on the drone, and sometimes I get the drone footage home and I'm uploading it, and you get some fun candids like this. This one, I remember this one. So we're on offense here. We're on offense, and I think that's Calvin, that's Gage, and I don't know who that is. All three of these guys are offensive blockers. We're running sweep to the right. All three of those guys are offensive blockers, and this is a defender. The guy in white right there is a defender. All three of them are there to block one man, and they let the only other threat through, and none of them seem concerned with him. So we just screenshot that. And I remember saying something to the effect of, okay, you guys look like you're looking for somewhere to help, but what was it about that one defender that you let through that none of you showed any interest in this guy? A little comical moment. This was one of them I can't remember. I feel like that might have been Rutledge, and the more open Rutledge is in practice, the less likely he is to catch the ball. So I can't remember this screenshot, but my best guess is that ball had just hit him in the hands, right in the chest, and now it's bobbling and all over the place. That's what I think is happening here on this one. But I always knew Rutledge is a gamer. I'm not worried about him in a game. But in practice, wide open, 50-50 chance that he's going to drop it. This one, I can't remember. What does that say? I cannot read that. Can anyone in the comments remember this one? I can't even read it. Oh, it says censored. It says censored. Okay, so this one, I think this is where I want to say Gage. Oh, yes. Okay, so you can't tell it because I drew over it. But I wrote censored. And on this play, we're running Biggie. We're giving the ball here to Brucker. And that defensive lineman hit Gage so hard, his head snapped back. Like, it was like, cannot be shown on Instagram. Like, that type of level of hit. He got absolutely obliterated. And we had to screenshot it. Sorry, I just noticed that my to-do list on this screen is a little off. So I'm just going to update that. So that was a fun screenshot. Anything where Gage gets lit up is fun. And it's fun because Gage likes to give other people a hard time, which makes it fun when he's getting lit up. I think this one's Gage as well. We were to finish him for any of you that used to play Mortal Kombat. And this is one of our defensive linemen. Can you see him next to the three arrows? I can't tell if my mouse shows up when I do this. I don't think it does. But next to the three arrows, you can see one of our players literally flying backwards with his arms out. Like he just got hit by Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. I want to say that's Gage, but I can't remember for sure. It could definitely be Devin. Devin had his share of backwards plays against Rushville. Always scrapping and always fighting, but Devin's small and sometimes would just get run backwards. I love getting these candids from the middle of practice when I get home. There's Lash waving at the drone as it flies overhead. This one I can't remember either. It is probably one of our guys getting their butts kicked, but you see we take the time to draw over him with his hands up. I do not remember what happened there. There's Brucker spitting water at the drone in the middle of practice. And then there we are, back to the top. All right, so those are our screenshots of the year. Like I said, just one of those fun little things that we do during film that are a lot of fun. Varsity football overview, we already did that. We went game by game when this started here tonight, and as you all know and remember, it was a great year, a really great year that I'll never forget. And I told the boys I was waiting. I have one spot on my office wall I have one wall in my office at school where it's just all photos from my coaching career, and there's one open spot. I've always told the boys that's where our first playoff season photo goes, and I got the photo picked out. I'm trying to get the rights to it from one of the photographers that took it. Having some trouble getting that from him for whatever reason, but anyway, I got the photo picked out. That's where it goes, because we did it this year. We made the playoffs. We turned the program around. Hopefully we can keep this momentum going, and we got a great group of kids that I feel good about, that we're going to keep it going because of their work ethic. So let's go ahead and go through these varsity players. What a great crew of kids, and talented. We'll go through them, and let's just take it away. I wondered if, let's go with Tyler Brown. I'm just going to go, this is numerical order, so you know what number your boy is, so you know when in this whole list he'll come up. But this is our varsity roster. Let's start off with Tyler Brown. Tyler Brown's our kicker. First and foremost at the varsity level, he's our kicker, and was automatic, 1 for 1 on field goals, and pretty automatic from extra point. I want to say he was like, I got the stats up here later. You'll see him later. I think 30-something extra points. Missed just a couple, but who knows? Maybe it was a bad hold, or the snap wasn't there on time, or I'm sure he missed 1 or 2. But Tyler does a great job kicking. And then the part about him, you saw him run the ball on the JV level, but the part you probably didn't see him do as much is play defense. And Tyler Brown, remember what I was saying about Colton and having to learn a lot of positions? That's Tyler Brown on our varsity defense. He had to know every position basically, because he was the next man in. So like in the playoff game when Calvin went down, Brucker comes down to Mike, Tyler Brown goes in at safety for Brucker, right? If somebody else would have gone down, if Rapson would have gone down, Brown would have gone in over there at Monster. If a corner goes down, Brown goes in at corner. So like he's our first guy in. He had to know every position, and he did. Very heady football player, and what an incredible kid that works his tail off. Look out for Tyler Brown. Who knows what he's going to do? I mean, he might end up kicking and being a running back and a starting linebacker by the time it's all said and done. But he can do it all, and he did do it all. I'm going to skip our seniors. I'm going to finish with them. Keegan Gresham was a number 1 guy in at tight end and almost started in the Fisher game, almost started at left tackle. I trust Keegan Gresham blocking for us. Hunter Bockelman. Bach is a warrior. He's a warrior. And the kids hear me say that about him all the time because that's just who he is. He is an absolute warrior. He was our next running back in. He backs up Cooper and Wills, who both, lucky for us, stayed healthy all year, but we had Hunter ready to go. Got a little bit of time at both. And as a defender, you can't teach what Hunter does. He's just scrappy. He's just tough. He'll just find a way to bring you down. And it frustrates people, I think. But that's why Hunter can't come off the field. He's a playmaker. He had 2 interceptions this year. A huge interception at the end of a half against Leroy. And he just plays that edge so stinking well. He strings plays out that can't get outside of him. When they try to beat out him outside, he finds a way to hawk you down at the ankles. What a warrior at the outside linebacker spot. And now he's finally big enough to be a varsity football player. He's a stinking rock out there at Monster. So I don't foresee Bockelman moving an inch defensively next year. I mean, we're coming back with 2 great monsters, and Bockelman he's like one of the anchors of that defense. And where's he going to fit in offensively? I can't tell you. He's so versatile offensively that it could be a victim of who else do we have and where do they go. But he can do it all. I expect Hunter to carry the ball next year and score. He is extremely elusive. Probably has the best jukes of anyone on the team. Our next varsity player, Lucas Rutledge. Rutledge played wide receiver for us, made some big catches. 2 of the biggest catches that stand out from his year for me were the catch at Fieldcrest in the end zone. Him and the DB caught it at the same time, and Rutledge rips it away from him, wrestles it from him, rolls out for a touchdown at Fieldcrest. Another huge catch came at Calhoun in the playoff game in the first half against Calhoun over the middle, makes a great catch. Rutledge is a very good receiver, runs very good routes. Over the summer in 7-on-7, like Maroa couldn't handle him. He's like, we can't cover this kid. He just runs good routes. He's got great hands. Like I said, unless it's practice and he's wide open, then he doesn't have great hands. But outside of in practice being wide open, he's got great hands and runs great routes. He's really a good quarterback too. He really has excellent coverage-wise as a DB. He was our prevent safety. We would bring in an extra DB and take a lineman off, and that was Rutledge for us. So Rutledge is just a good ball player. He's just a gamer. He makes plays. So great season, Lucas Rutledge. Timmy Romer. Timmy did not get a lot of time for us at the varsity level, but again, we love having Timmy around. I foresee Timmy playing some safety for us next year and getting some time defensively as long as he continues to work as hard as he always does, which I don't see why he wouldn't. That's who he is. He's a rock of a person for us, and we love having him around. And again, most of his season was as a JV player. Next young man, freshman, Braden Lash. Lash went through a chunk of his season where he got hurt. You could tell how badly he didn't want to be hurt. Kept trying to go, kept trying to practice, and probably set himself back further by trying to keep practicing and playing. But you could see Lash start to separate himself in the summer, where he would make plays and stand out, and our coaches are going, geez, do we need to play Lash? Does Lash need to play there? And by the end of the season, it was pretty clear, like, Lash needs to be in. Like, we got to put him in. He's one of our best 11 defenders. He needs to be on the field. He's an excellent tackler. He's excellent coverage. If you remember back, he made a huge stop. The second to last play against West Hancock was a knockdown pass in the end zone from Lash. If he doesn't knock that down, we lose that game. So Lash is a player and has a, well, you want to say bright future. Lash is look out. I don't know where he's going to end up. He can do it all too. He can play receiver. He could throw the ball. He could be a running back. He's already an excellent defender. So he had an outstanding year, and I think he'll just continue to get better. Great season, Lash. Our next junior, Mason Clawwitter. Mason is a workhorse, and his mullet is now so well known in Hayworth. He's just a hard-nosed player. And that's who he, like, you watch him play basketball, hard-nosed, comes in, gets a foul, goes out, plays his butt off. That's who he is on the football field. He started for us at tight end, ended up having a couple big catches for us on our low wagons play. A linebacker, one of our top defenders, just always there, always can be counted on, and an excellent football player. Man, I'm really hoping that Mason is interested in being one of our captains for next year, because I think he could be an excellent leader. I know he works a lot in the summertime, so I don't know if he'll be able to make the time to commit in the summer that a captain would, but I'm hopeful. My fingers crossed that he is, because I think his personality that's who he is for our team. He's kind of one of those next up leaders for us. So I hope that he will. What a great football season he had. And you'll see and hear his name later as we get to some awards. Excuse me, my voice. Next young man, little sophomore, Carter Brooks, one of those guys that as a freshman was like, he could maybe play some varsity now, but let's leave him on the JV. This year, you couldn't keep him off the varsity field. He had to be out there. He's one of our best 11 defenders, and that was a priority this summer. So thank goodness the IHSA changed the rules that we could play a little football, a little 11 on 11. You could see kids in film. And as you're watching film, it was clear Carter Brooks is one of our best 11 defenders. You know, is he big enough? What does it matter? Like, that's what we start, over time in my coaching career, I've started to value size less and less. Like, doesn't matter. How big are they? Well, it doesn't matter. Are they one of the best 11 defenders you have? You need to get them on the field. And that's Carter Brooks. He's a defender. Just does it naturally. So stinking aggressive for such a little cat. And you can absolutely count on him. You'll see him show up in our highlights, some of our highlights later. Made some really big plays. Would come up and hit you on screen pass. I mean, he knocked one of Rushville's best running backs out of the game. This big, strong senior running back, Carter Brooks, about ripped his head off, and the kid didn't come back in the game. I mean, it's just, what a hard-nosed kid. And I always would laugh and say, like, the kid weighs 130. Can you imagine when he weighs 150? How much of a killer he'll be? I think Carter could actually be a great running back, too. We're just deep there. We didn't need him there this year. If Carter would have been a JV player, he would have been a running back, too. But he was needed on the varsity level. Excellent defender, and another kid. They're on repeat in our program, which is why we're winning. Kids you can count on. Like the list of kids you can count on in our program, it's a long list, and that's why we're winning. It's simple math. That's why you're winning. When your list is long, or as we say, when your nucleus is big, our nucleus of kids is large, and that's why we're winning. So great season, Carter Brooks. Next guy, Braden Brucker. You guys know about Brucker. He, I always say he's one of the lucky ones. When you're this blessed with talent, you're one of the lucky ones because you get to carry the ball, right? I mean, you're a lucky dog. When you get to carry the ball this much, and Brucker led our team in carries, and it's not all luck. Yes, he's lucky to be blessed as he is. He's immensely talented, but he works his tail off. He works his tail off. You can count on him. He learns what he needs to do. He carries out fakes. See, that's not talent. Carrying out fakes is not talent. Carrying out fakes is a commitment to team. And Brucker does that. You want to know why there's nobody out there to tackle Cooper or Tyler Wills on a sweep play? Because of a commitment to a fake by Parker Bell and Braden Brucker. I mean, that's who he is. He's also a ferocious defender. I've never seen a kid in all my years coaching like Brucker. He will pass our other defenders on his way to the ball. We got good defenders chasing the ball. He passes them and gets the ball first. I mean, it has to be said about Brucker. Nothing against any of our defenders. I don't know how he does it. He passes people to get the ball. I've never had a defender like that. And he weighs all of 127 pounds, right? I said it in the newspaper. I'll say it again. He's got the heart of a warrior, heart of a lion. What a player. What a player. What a great kid. Love having him around. I hope he just keeps growing, keeps getting better. He's a special talent. Next guy, another sophomore, but a rock on our team, Calvin Andrews. Calvin Andrews, I don't know how you can't give him the title of like the rock of that O-line. He had to make everybody's calls for him, and he would. So he knows all of our calls. He does everything. Like we run our best plays, go behind him. When we run away from him, we're going to pull him on counter plays. Or no, we don't pull him on counter plays, but counter goes at him. Our best play, Biggie goes at him. He pulls out on our best play, sweep. He did it all offensively. And he's just the rock of that O-line. If the O-line had a captain, it would be Calvin Andrews. You can't not, right? Calvin actually earned the title of captain for our team this year. And he was not elected captain last year. That role was vacated by someone, and I never named who's it going to be. I wanted it to see who's going to fill that role. And over the summer, Calvin just filled it. He was there first, and he lined up in front, and the kids followed him. He's a leader. That's who Calvin is. Calvin also started for us all year at linebacker, right there at Mike, where you got to have a guy that you can count on because he's not allowed to watch the ball. He has to watch guards. And humans want to watch the ball. But he's not allowed. He has to watch guards. If we're going to be any good, I have to have a kid there we can trust enough to read guards. And I trust Calvin enough to read guards, and he would. And that's why he was in on so many plays. And you'll hear his name later, and you'll see him on highlights. He's a dog of a dude, man. What a great kid. And did you know that I played high school football and high school wrestling with his dad? His dad was a special talent too. But now it's Calvin's turn. And Calvin is living up to the Andrews name. He's a player. He's a player, man. Our next young man, I keep going through all these great players, and they're all puppies. Next one, number 52, Jared Fulcher. You guys know Jared. He was a two-way starter as well on the offensive defensive lineman. I don't know that I've had a freshman be as impactful as he is for a long time. I can think of the last guy that was as impactful as a freshman. You guys wouldn't know him, but I can think of him. It was a long time ago. We have had freshmen help us, and it's been out of necessity. And I don't think Jared helped us out of necessity. He helped us because he's that good. He's that good. And he missed a good chunk of the summer. Just the family vacations didn't match up. And so we went through like the first 2 weeks of our summer not really knowing what Jared could be. I watched him wrestles in 8th grade. I knew he was going to be good. And I knew coming in, I'm like, I think he's going to be one of our best 11 defenders. So we're pretty sure we're going to use him. But when he showed up and started playing, you went, whoa, he can really play. Like, this isn't a normal freshman. Like, he can really play. And he was at time. I mean, he was a problem for teams offensively. They couldn't handle him up front. That's how good he was defensively. And then had some kids not show up that we were counting on offensive line-wise, ended up using Jared. And we used him offensively out of necessity. And he ended up being one of our best O-linemen. Like, so he just took over. Like, he went out and won these jobs as a freshman because he didn't come in, was not handed a job. Those older guys got chances first, and Jared simply outplayed guys. He's just a force. And another thing that I love about Jared, and I've told Jared this, is I trust him. I trust Jared. Yeah, he's a squirrely kid like a lot of kids are, but I trust him. And I saw that when he was a junior high wrestler. I realized that I could trust this kid. And what a great freshman year he had. Who knows what the future has in store, but again, we got a bright future as a program because of all these young cats, and Jared being one of them. Moving on, our starting left guard, another sophomore, Weston Mayfield. What a great season he had. Some of these guys, they come in and they look like our big guys, but Weston weighed 175 pounds this year during football season. That's not as big lineman. That's not big. He plays his tail off. He asks questions. He gets frustrated with himself when he doesn't when he's not playing to his own standard. And you could see that. I love that about him. He wants to be good. Very athletic. That's why he plays basketball. That's why he's one of our best throwers, right behind Nick Feather. He's one of our best throwers on the track team. He's very athletic, which is why he's going to be so good. I would expect to see Weston in the future playing some defense for us. He's a natural defender, very aggressive. But we got to have him on the offense too. He's a great offensive lineman. And he pulled on belly, pulled on sweep to the left when we would run it to Tyler Wills. Had a great year. So great job, Weston. Bright future. We come to a senior. Going to skip him. Here's a junior, Cole Donovan. I was very proud of Cole this year. So Cole wasn't around this summer. He's a worker. He wants to work in the summer. And that's who he was. And he wasn't sure he wanted to be a part of football. He wasn't sure. It was like, kind of, but nah, I don't know. He came out at the beginning of the season, right? He hadn't been there this summer. He comes out at the beginning of the season for a couple days and thinks, nah, it's not for me. And somebody, I want to say it was Nate Reardon, I think it was his boss, said, no, you're going to play. So whoever made Cole play, thank you. And I think that Cole didn't regret it. I think I'm safe to say that because by the end of the season, Cole was in and you could see it, and he was torn up after our playoff loss. So you could see it affected his heart. And then our biggest thing to figure out was where we're going to use Cole, right? He wasn't there enough in the summer to earn one of those that was starting O-line spots. So where are we going to use him? And we ended up using him at tight end, which I didn't expect. I never would have expected that, but he did a great job there. And it was such a huge asset because it gave such a different look, right? We would take little 130-pound Lucas Rutledge off, this athletic wideout, and then bring in this 250-pound lineman, and we could do things with him. Like we'd flip him over into an unbalanced spot. We'd leave him at tight end, and just an excellent blocker up front and a big body that it messed with the defensive front, right? They didn't know how to handle it. It's like when you bring an extra lineman in the game, it's a problem. You see it a lot on Sundays. You'll see it later today in college football. They bring extra linemen in. It presents a problem that is, it's difficult to answer defensively, right? It's different than just, if I would have brought Rutledge down in tight to block as a tight end, it's different than when you bring in a 250-pound man who's strong to do it. And that was what Cole did for us. He played a touch of defense against really strong, powerful teams up front. And I think he could do that. You might catch Cole on the defensive line for us next year. I'm curious to see what Cole's going to do next year. Because he's in that same boat of Mason where he's so committed to his work in the summer. What will he want to commit to us in the summer? So, of course, selfishly, I hope that he just says, I'm full-time in football, I'll work when I can. That's what I hope. But I don't know what he's going to do. I hope he decides to just commit to us, because he's got a bright future and he'll be a senior next year. Our next varsity player, Colton Shepard. Colton was our holder. And it might sound like a small job. It's not a small job. Those points are valuable. And you look at how many of those games they won, the extra points win us a game. Fieldcrest, extra points win us a game because we were 3 for 3 in the ones we kicked, and we run a fake that Colton has to handle. Right? So he does a great job for us there, and I love having him there. And that was his varsity role, right? I already talked about Colton and what he does as a player outside of holder, but just his varsity role this year, and he filled it well. We need you to hold these kicks, and he does it to perfection, because it's not as easy as people on TV make it look. Next guy's a senior. I'll skip him. Next, sophomore. You might remember this guy, and I think it's our last varsity player that is not a senior. Number 77, Parker Bell. And what a great year Parker had. Parker played a ton of defense early in the year until guys like Lash got healthy again, and we got, now I know 2 guys that weren't on this list. Okay, thank goodness that I just came across this. The roster I pulled up didn't have our 2 late comers into the party, so I'm gonna write their names down. All right, so then Rapson shows up late, and now Parker, we can rest him. I mean, you want to rest your quarterback on defense. You don't want him to have to play, but Parker can play. He might be our best coverage corner. Might be. Sorry, other corners. I don't want to take any glory away from you. Parker might be the best coverage guy. But great job defensively. And then you all know him as a quarterback. And you'll see highlights of him later. So he'll get talked about later. But he just does an incredible job managing the team. He manages the huddle well. He encourages the guys in the huddle. He manages the cadence well. He manages the offense, protects the ball, really hides the ball well. That's why the fakes are so incredible. He does all those little things really well. And it takes an extremely athletic kid and a great person to be able to run that duty. And he runs that duty well. You cannot win a conference title without a great quarterback. I don't think it can be done. It can't be done. And we got one. And Parker, what a great year you had. And so thank you for leading the team in that way through quarterback position. Because it's also a tough role because, yeah, coaches are tough on the quarterback. You need him to be excellent or you can't be excellent. So, yeah, we're tough on Parker. So great job, Parker. I'm going to check the notes real quick in case I've forgotten anything. Thank you guys who are here. We are almost done with our varsity roster. 2 guys came out late this year. Super grateful to have them. One, Cohen Donaldson, a very good golfer who decided to come out, and we used him. We used him on the extra point team. We call it our PAT team. And we also used him on the punt team. And he did a great job filling those roles. I really liked his attitude when he came out. And he accepted his role that he'd come out late, and he hadn't played before, at least not under me. He hadn't played in high school, so he was going to have a limited role. But he's athletic enough and big enough that we could use him. And so we used him in those 2 capacities. And it was great for our team because we got other guys rest. Like that was a time where we could get Gage rest. And Gage was going to play so much, so we had to get him rest. And then our last junior came out late, Rapson. And Rapson was a returning top defender as a sophomore. So when he didn't come out, we were heartbroken. And he knew it. And we're always in his ear like, dude, the door is always open to you, Rapson, because we know who you are. We know who you are. You're a great defender. You can do a lot of things well, but you're also a great person. We like having around. So yeah, the door is always going to be open to our guys who we trust. And we always trusted Rapson. And he finally decided, okay, I'll join you. And he sat out his time and he served the team in a servant role that he had to do for the X amount of days you have to fulfill for the purpose of the IHSA. Like he's going to do this, we're going to do it right. Him and Donaldson both did everything they had to do to serve their time to become eligible to play. And then we used Rapson just defensively. That's where the team needed him. Like he's a great offensive player too, but the team didn't have to have him there. We were ready offensively. Defensively was where we were a little thinner. and used him there. And Rapson had an incredible season again. As soon as he came back, hit the ground running, making big plays, and really made big plays once he it took him a game, I feel like, to get his feet under him. And then by the time he got to the Gibson City game, he was right back into being a force. And right away, his piranha percentage, boom, through the roof. He chases. He is a natural defender and an excellent one. And again, to have another returning defender coming back next year. I know that our other coaches are excited about using him offensively too, because he is an offensive threat, right? Tall, lanky, athletic, fast. He does it all. So he's a great football player, and only had, what did he play, 3 games this year? 4? 3? But in his 3 games, 4, when you include the playoff game, he played 4 games. In his 4 games, very impactful. And again, just a great kid to have around. He's going to do anything for your team. And I told Nick, one of my favorite things I saw him do was against Gibson City, actually. He had messed up in a play, and it was something I had told him before and I was frustrated with, so I pulled him. I pulled him off and put Tyler Brown in, and he sat for 3 plays, so he was out, right? It's very natural for a kid of any age. When you get pulled out, you're sad. You sit and you pout. It's how people are. All of us are, I think. Most people are. And when you look at the film, I pull him out. He stays right on the front. He's cheering for our guys. We make a big stop. He's cheering. And the very next play, we get the ball 1 play offensively, and Cooper Johnson takes it to the house on that counter play. And Rapson is sprinting to the end, celebrating. It'll probably come up in our highlights later. But that's a kid who's bought in. He's not thinking selfishly in that moment. And I think that's the greatest compliment I could pay Nick Rapson. Really incredible job, Nick. So that's our varsity team outside of our seniors. So let's talk about our seniors now. I'm going to go the other way. Highest number to low coming back on our seniors. Our highest number senior, Gage Gaber. And Gage is a workhorse. Gage knows right now I'm kind of mad at him. He was kind of mean to somebody, and I told him that. But I'm going to take my madness at Gage out right now because Gage is so stubborn and hard-nosed. He is one of those guys on your football field you have to have. He has zero fear. He will fight with you till the very last moment. He will not come off the field even when he's hurt, if he's bleeding. He is one of those kids where you say, you'd have to break my arm, you'd have to drag me off this field. That's Gage. He's not coming off unless you truly drag him off the field. And of course he was an anchor for our team, on the line on both sides. We could not afford to take him off the field, so he played full time at nose, got in on a bunch of plays, made a bunch of huge plays. It's one of those positions that doesn't get recognized, but I'm telling you, our team is not successful without him up front. Made a huge 4th down stop against Gibson City that got us the ball back. Offensively, played right there at right tackle, right next to Calvin. Him and Calvin, that's who we run behind. The most amount of times we're going to run behind him and Calvin. They're very good, strong blockers, and Gage is that guy. He's going to get off the ball. He will fight with you till the very end, and he's committed. He's committed to excellence. Again, he asks questions after practice. Coach, what about when they do this? Do you want me to? And when you got guys up front that are asking questions about that, what happens? You make less mistakes. And when you make less mistakes, you end up in less 3rd and longs, which means the chains are moving. And you have to have question askers to get that done. Those are the things that I think most fans don't see or realize, but you have to have them in order to get them done. Great season, Gage. To say we're going to miss these seniors is an understatement. The next guy, one of my favorite people on earth, Chris Gould. Chris Gould was with me. I remember on my first day here when Chris walks up with his headphones around his neck. He wore headphones around his neck every day I knew him for 2 years. Outside of practice, I never saw him without headphones on his neck. Chris now is a little more grown up, and he doesn't wear the headphones all the time. But I remember he came in, and he was not a good lineman. But we needed him. We had so few people. He was strong, and so we used him. And from sophomore year to senior, he went from being someone that was a liability to being one of the reasons why we're good. We could run belly this year and Trojan and sweep left. All those plays go left, and we could throw the ball all because we didn't have a hole up front. We had no weak point up front. Chris Gould was good, and he takes crap from the guys. They like to give him crap, right? Because I'm hard on him in film, and I think maybe sometimes it comes off in film like that he wasn't good or he would make too many mistakes. I don't know why, but he took grief from the guys. It bothered me because he's good. He's got to be one of the top 10 O-linemen to play for Hayworth in the past 10 years. He's got to be. I mean, look how good we were. And he's one of our anchors up front. Counter, scissors. Do you know how good of a play scissors was for us? Do you know who the key block is on scissors? It's Chris Gould on that kick-out block. So our guy Cooper will tell you how good scissors is as a play. You guys remember Cooper getting loose on scissors. Boom. That's Chris Gould. Boom. You got Gage on the down block and Chris on the kick out. That's a 1-2 punch. And I just love having Chris around. He'll do anything for your football team. Anything. And the football team was his priority. And he just worked his tail off for us. I'm going to miss Chris. I'm going to miss him, man. I love having Chris around. So what a great career you had, Chris Gould. So proud of you. All the way up now, our next senior is at number 11, Devin Porzelius. Now, Devin didn't play my first year here. He played the last 2 years, though. And he was kind of in an awkward spot. Like, he doesn't think about the game in such a way. I didn't feel like he was a good fit at linebacker. But he's one of the best 11 defenders. So, just as I said earlier, you got to get your best 11 defenders on the field. Porzelius is strong, he's fast, and he's scrappy. So where are you going to, you got to find a place for him because he has to be on the field. And so for us, it was D-end, right? He doesn't fit the prototypical D-end size. He doesn't have that, but he's one of your best 11 defenders. Put him on the field, he'll be fine. And so what happens is defensively, there's always going to be a couple plays where the kid is bigger and stronger, going to get the best of him. He might run him back 10 yards. But then the next 2 plays, he's so quick and strong and wants to be in on the play that he makes guys miss and he hurts the team. So Devin had a great year. Also a good running back. He just happened to be our number 2 guy in behind Brucker, and Brucker stayed healthy. But you could see Porzelius got a couple carries. You can see how hard he runs and how good he is. Man, what a great junior senior year Devin had. Thank goodness he decided to play. 2 seniors left. One is Cooper Johnson, number 8. And Cooper, I feel like Cooper grew up in our program. And his sophomore year had a couple nice runs. His junior year had to carry the load there at tailback. Took some hard hits. It was a tough job because we weren't great up front. It was a hard job to carry. And did you know Cooper almost didn't come out this year? I mean, when it was spring and baseball season, he was leaning towards not playing. Somehow, some way, for some reason, he comes out. I know I begged him to. And the rest is history, because look what he did. He played a touch defense when we needed him, made a couple big plays, actually put him at defensive end. But really his role was he was our home run hitter at running back. What a home run hitter he was, too. The average almost 20 yards a carry. And, we say to pay the other guys compliments. You pay guys compliments by saying things like there was nobody there because of our fakes. And our fakes were incredible, right? But that's only the first 8 yards. After the first 8 yards, that was from a fake. But the rest, that's Cooper. And there were times where there were guys there, and were there guys there in a hurry, like against D-Mac. There's a guy right there on sweep. Cooper makes a mess. Choom, choom, gone. And that was where Cooper made the biggest strides this year, was running in traffic. That scissors play, that counter play where he'd have to take it up the heart of the defense, and he does in week 9 against Gibson City and takes it 65 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that was an incredible run. He's learned how to run hard in traffic. He learned how to run hard and run through tackles and fall forward, and it has great speed and got loose. Man, Cooper, you really had an incredible season, and all the attention you got was deserved. Rushed for almost 1,200 yards. You'll see our stats later. Our leading rusher, leader in touchdowns. He did it all as a running back, and we always say future's bright, but man, that's a pretty big. These are big holes to fill. So great season, great career, Cooper. And our last season, senior number 4, Tyler Wills. And Wills, overall, probably had to carry the biggest load for the team this year overall, right? He played our other running back spot opposite of Cooper, had a ton of big carries, didn't get the home run hitters like Cooper did, but had to carry the brunt of the load. Still rushed for, I want to say, 400 yards. Played full time at that running back position. Was our number one target through the air. You guys saw some of the big passes that he caught. And, this summer he started off at tight end. He'd been at tight end in our program since he got here. And I'm watching film of us in the summer as we're doing our summer stuff. And I'm just looking at Tyler, and he might catch a pass and do something. And I started watching film from last year. And I remember calling my dad up, and I said, pull these plays up. I said, we have to get Tyler the ball. Watch these plays and tell me if you disagree. This kid has to have the ball. And so I wanted to move him to running back. Some of our coaches doubted it. They're like, he's too tall, he's too this, he's too that, I don't know. And I called several coaches to ask their input. Like, do I consider moving this tight end to running back? And I just kept coming back to this phrase. He has to carry the ball more. I can't give him the ball. If he plays tight end for us, we're going to give him the ball 2 times a game at most. He can't touch the ball 2 times a game. He has to touch the ball more because he's one of the best football players we have. So does he need to touch the ball more? Yes. Put him at F. And that was it for us. And at the end of the day, that's what I went with and stuck with. I had a hunch. I kind of think I was right. He's a heck of a running back. We could still throw him the ball from that spot, and when we had to split him out, we did. But he had to touch the ball more because he's just too special a player, and you guys saw what he did offensively. I was so happy that Tyler got to have the accolades that come with being an offensive star because he hadn't had that before in our career. Even though he deserved it, hadn't had that in our program and in his career before. And he got to have those offensive accolades this year, and they were deserved. You can count on him. He's a quiet leader, but he's a leader. Trust me, he's a leader. He really is. And defensively, and he is a 2-time returning Piranha guy for us. He was actually our number 6 Piranha guy this year. And I think he went down to number 6 from the top 5 because we moved him to running back. And it takes significantly more energy to run the rock. And it dropped him out of the top 5, and he ended up being number 6, which I think stinks. I think he would have loved being our top 5 because he'd have been a 3-time returning Piranha guy, which is a photo that goes in our locker room. But he just missed. But he ended up being a first-team all-conference HOIC linebacker, and well-earned. Well-earned. He was every bit as good as the attention. What I'm saying right now, I'm telling you, he's every bit as good. He overall carried the largest load on our football team this year. What a great career, Tyler Wills. You will be sorely missed. That is our varsity roster. Man, do we have people still with us? We're at 2 hours. We've done almost everything. We are on to just the last couple things. So if you've made it this far, thank you. Just a few things left to do. And the last of these things should go fairly fast. Let's take a look at some of the varsity stats from the year. I want you guys to see this. I just want to make sure I pull this up, make sure it's showing up. There they are. Here's some of the tackling stats. Tackling. Now, we don't track tackling. We don't value tackling all that much. Now, I know that sounds odd. We don't value the stat tackling, but here they are. We value Piranha percentage. And Piranha percentage is the percentage of plays that you're on the field that you are one of the first 5 to the ball. Okay, so we value Piranha the most, but here's the tackling stats. Brucker leads the way, then Wills. You can see TFLs. Interceptions here. You see Bockelman there with 2. Parker Bell picks 2 off this year. Pass breakups. Look, Carter Brooks on the defensive TD. You can see the defensive stats right there, and our top defenders, our leading top 10 tacklers: Brown, Porzelius, Brooks, Fulcher, Gaber, Andrews, Bach, Clawwitter, Tyler Wills, and Braden Brucker. So those are our defensive stats. Offensive stats, these are always fun to look at. Let's start down here at scoring. You can see the scoring. Brucker leads the way, tied with Cooper for 10 touchdowns apiece. That's 60 points they both scored. Wills, 8 touchdowns. Parker Bell, 6 touchdowns. Those are QB sneaks, man. There's Tyler Brown with his 33 made extra points and a field goal. Rutledge scored 3 touchdowns. Porzelius scored 2. See, I told you he's a good running back. Carter Brooks on the touchdown fumble return. Lash on his touchdown. That was at, where was that? This touchdown was in game 1, on that fade in game 1. Clawwitter on a fumble, a pick 6. Clawwitter with a pick 6 against Fisher. And Bockelman with the huge 2-point conversion against Fieldcrest. Throwing the ball, receiving, our leading receiver was Rutledge with 204 yards. And Wills there with 147. You can see these guys behind him with a couple catches apiece. Rutledge with 3 TDs, Wills with 4. Passing, only one man threw the ball for us, completed 50% of his passes. I think that'll only go up from here for 327 yards, 8 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. And then rushing. Everybody knows this is what we do well. This is what we commit to. We spend a ton of time working on this. This doesn't just happen. This is not just a list of these men's work. Like, this is the work of the whole program, and these guys carry the rock to finish it off. But we rushed for getting close to 3,000 yards on the season. Pretty awesome. You can see the big 3 carriers here. Look at that. Wills carried for 58 times for 535 yards. That's 9 yards a carry. Then Brucker carries the brunt of the load, 190 carries on a year. Look at that. That's carrying a load. That's hard on the body, especially when you're as small as he is. That's hard on the body. That's a lot of blood. And that blood that he's willing to shed for us, man, that opens things up. He's a dude. 190 times for 898 yards and 10 touchdowns. And then the home run hitter. There is Cooper there with almost 1,100 yards. The last game of the year just brought his average down a touch. Look at that, almost 16 yards a carry. How about this for a stat? 0 fumbles out of Cooper, 0 fumbles out of Brucker. Pretty awesome. Both of those 2 guys with 0 fumbles, and that's what we value, protecting the ball. Let me see if I can pull up the Piranha. Can I get to the Piranha? That might be last year's Piranha. Darn, I don't have this year's Piranha. I got the top 5 coming up later, so I'll show you that. But like I said, that Piranha is what we value the most. All right, so there's our stats. Let's go to highlights, man. Let's take a look at varsity highlights. What a year it was. We're just going to zip through some of these highlights. We'll go highlights and talks of the future and awards. The actual awards. I got some good awards to give out. Want you guys to see those. But just going to fly. Some defensive highlights can be hard to watch because they're so chaotic. But you can see right out the gates this year, defensively, starting to swarm. And this is what's important when you put ball chasers on the field. Guys that want to get to the ball. Here's a huge play. This was that big stop at the end of the game against West Hancock. Jared gets in on it and forces a fumble, and we beat West Hancock. The play right before that was when Lash knocked one down. Here we are against Tremont. Look at that. Up front, there's Jared coming from the backside on a pinch call, gets there. The hole on the front side is clogged by Devin. Boom, Devin and Jared meet there in the middle. Boom, stand this guy up, and then look at the black jerseys coming to clean it up. All right, that's effort. That's exciting to see. Here we are with half the lights gone against Tremont. You guys remember that when the lights went out? Look at that play. Parker Bell with one of his 2 picks, and this was big. I mean, we were only up 20-8 on these guys for a while, and Tremont was still in it. So a really big play here by Parker at a huge moment. DMAC, we all remember this game. Man, a lot of big plays here at the DMAC game. This play was huge. Yeah, Jared actually hurt that kid's knee, but Jared's a problem, man. He's a big, strong kid in there, and he's hard to deal with. Counterplay. Look at Tyler Wills' fill on this. So here's Tyler Wills. I don't know if you guys can see it. Boom, there's Tyler Wills. He fills on this play. Look at that. He avoids 2 blockers on his way. And this is just a knack for the game, right? It's hard to avoid blockers. It looks like they miss. They don't miss. He avoids them. Boom, boom, boom. Stands up this play. I mean, this is a huge play. Look at that. That was a 3rd down. and he makes that play. Here's one of my favorite plays of the year. Brucker comes down and hits this guy, and the ball pops out right into Carter Brooks's hand. One hand, I say, right? Because he's got a cast on the other side. Gone. What a huge moment this was. I mean, this is probably the first time I let out a good, true scream, like a hallelujah scream. Like things are going our way. Sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, and it hadn't bounced our way many times in my time at Hayworth. And now here, that ball bounced our way, and Carter's there to make a play. Here's another play I had to show you. This is the play after Carter stops one deep, and then he comes down, boom, stands this guy up on their sideline. This is the moment, I think, when they knew they were in trouble. This is when D-Mac on the sideline goes, oh, geez, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. This might be little old Hayworth. They're kicking our butt. This one against Fieldcrest. That was actually just a drop ball. I don't like those as highlights. This is that 2-point conversion for the win. Look at that. We have to have this play. We get a little bit of pressure, thank goodness, there out of Calvin. And who's that? Is that Jared? Forces this guy to get rid of it. And there's Brucker to come back and make the play. Boom. Whoa. Ball game. Had to have that one. Here we are against Rushville. Look at that. Fill by Calvin. This was early in the game. Here's Calvin right here. Just filled. Boom. Runs that guy back onto his butt. All right, there's a lot of big plays, man, by even a lot of youngsters. Belly, same thing on Belly. There's Jared getting rid of his man. Look at Bockelman. No, look at Tyler Brown up top, forcing this play back in. Boom. And you can see, look, 56 is huge. This 56 is huge. Tyler Brown weighs what, 135? And watch how Tyler Brown lowers his shoulder and gets into 56. See, these are the things you don't always see. But because Tyler Brown's willing to get into them, the hole is smaller. And now guys like Jared can make the play. Really, really good football right here, guys. Mason Clawwitter getting there from the backside. Really awesome. Sweep. Boom. Look, here comes Carter to clean it up. Ton of pressure up front. Forces him to belly back. Look how many black jerseys are getting to the ball. Boom. Look at that. Black jerseys, the ball were good up front. And again, this is the team that was so big and strong up front we were worried about. I'm going to zip ahead. This is against Gibson City now. Now we're in week 9. Nowhere to go. This is late in the game. Now they're trying to make anything happen, and we're just getting pressure. We go to Wacko. We bring Calvin. Look at that. Calvin makes him jump. Tyler comes and cleans him up, and the guy drops the ball. This was a huge play. I love watching celebrations. Look at the guys celebrate. I could watch this celebration. I'll watch it 10, 20 times in a row, just watching a different kid. Like, just looking how happy everybody is. Look at Esposito. You ever watch this play and watch Esposito? I love this stuff. This is why you love having former players back. Look at Espo. I love that. Here's a quick one. This is Bockelman picking it off. Boom. Interception. Love it. Let's see some offensive highlights. We got to see some offensive highlights, right, guys? I know you guys want to see this stuff. We're just going to zip. Look at this. Overhip. Buck. Just trap right up the middle. Right? I mean, look at that. Jared, nice back block. Calvin kicks. Boom, boom. Chris Gould down to the second level. Look at Chris at the second level. Everybody getting second level on this stuff, right? This is why this stuff pops. Boom. Good fakes in the backfield. Great run. Here's that 93 to Lash. This was big. This was big play in the game. Big play. You can see how excited Coach Neely is down there. Good little biggie here. Boom. Look how good the blocking is up front. Look at Calvin and Gage right there on the right. Crash it down. This is when Lash actually hurts his ankle. This is the moment. This is the play. This is week 1. Darn it. This is the end of the game. So this is the end of the game. They just took the lead. We have 3 minutes to score, and we do it in 3 plays. 3 plays, maybe 4. Boom. Trap. Next play. Trap. Buck, we call it buck. Boom. Look at that. Look at all the blockers to the next level. Great effort. And then we score on QB wedge. I'm not sure why this one was in there. Oh, yeah, that was a 93 against Leroy for a touchdown. Nice ball. Oh, this I was going to say, I don't remember that against Leroy. This is against Stockton. 2 93s for touchdowns against Stockton. Parker to Rutledge. Rutledge gets stemmed off his route and he has to open the other way. Nice job adjustment on the fly. That was not an easy ball to catch. First scissors of the game against Tremont. Boom. Boom. Nice kick out there by Gage. Great fakes. Good execution. Touchdown. You guys saw a lot of that during the year. A lot of just these big plays. Look at this belly against Tremont. Boom. Boom. Look at Weston get out front. This is huge by Weston. Climb. Don't get distracted. Look at that. So this is Weston right here. When we get to the right moment, there's Weston right here in front of Brucker. And notice how he's looking forward, not out, right? That's something we practice so many times, and you can see kids trusting the system, right? It'd be easy for him to want to go to this guy to the outside. But that's not who we want him to go to. We don't think that guy can make the play. Boom. Gets up to the next level, and it springs Brucker. Pretty awesome. This is one of the great ones of the year. Look at this sweep. Look at the army of men that Cooper has out here to help him, and Cooper does such a good job waiting on his help. Look at him just waiting on his blockers. Patience, patience, patience. Boom. Half-price ice cream for all. Was that the deal? Was that the deal in that game? That was the homecoming game. There was some sort of deal, like everybody gets some sort of ice cream deal if Cooper gets scores a touchdown. Oh, now here we are with the lights dark. You guys remember this? This was a huge. We were up only by 2 scores at this, and this was the 4th quarter. There's look at that big block by Weston again, right? Weston leads up through the hole, not out. Weston leads up. Boom. Brucker makes that guy miss. Gone. So awesome. Huge sweep right here. This was the first big play against DMAC. And I won't watch this too closely because the DMAC film isn't great. This was the first big one against DMAC. Good downfield block. Great run. Awesome. And then this one, we take the lead against DMAC for the first time. This is Tango. That's the Tyler Wills. Look at that. End zone shot's even better. Watch this run by Wills. Watch how he changed. Watch the stiff arm too. Boom. Stiff arm. That was an incredible run. 95 yards. Ended up being top 5 play of the week for IHSA on their website or their Twitter feed. Top 5 plays of the week. That was pretty stinking awesome. Another sweep. Boom. This was all year, right? Cooper on the sweep. Look, boom. See, that's a nice little cut. That's the stuff, right? We get him the first little room on a fake, but the rest of this is him. Good effort. Look at Calvin downfield. Getting guys downfield. Here's another scissors, right? Look. Boom. Chris with that key kick out. Great play running in traffic. That's weird. We end up scoring 40 points in that game. Here's a great sweep against Fieldcrest. This was our first score against Fieldcrest. Boom, Tyler Wills. Nobody there, baby. Team, that's teamwork, man. That's execution, team execution. How about this one with time running out in the half? We need this play. If we score here, it really hurts them. And this is, look, 6 seconds on the clock here. Boom. Nice throw. Nice job getting in, Tyler Wills. That was awesome. How about this catch? This is that catch by Rutledge. Look at that. Parker drops the ball somehow on the fake. Rucker knocks it out of his hand. He picks it up and gets it out. And Rutledge fights for the ball for a touchdown to go up 22-0. That was pretty stinking awesome. And then this one, our last score of the game against Fieldcrest. Boom, nice biggie. You can see everything click in here. You can see things like this. You see Calvin turning around. He's making sure Wills knows the call, right? We have so many line calls. Wills, you know it? Yep, we're going to go with this call. Boom, the execute. We call that one X-ray. They go X-ray. Boom, executes X-ray. Wills through the hole. Gone. Look at that second level block by Weston. Look at Weston get to that linebacker. That's pretty stinking awesome, Weston. Boom. Right? That's how Pitt plays pop. The fans, we just see this as fans, right? You don't see all the rest, but look at all that work that goes in to make a play like that pop. That's pretty awesome. Good hard-fought biggie here against Rushville. Same thing, right? It's the same play as what you just saw. Hard-nosed football. Execution up front. Oh, this was a great one. What a great run by Tyler Wills here on this Trojan. Look at this one. I could watch this one 1,000 times. Look at the down block here by Cooper, by Mason. Boom, boom. Chris, Cooper, and Mason washing that edge down. Good pickup by Calvin. And then just Tyler Wills being a dude. Look, watch on the end zone clip. You can see Tyler shove this man off with the ball in hand. Watch this. Look, he goes, yeah, get off me. Wills is just, what a great run. And then we went this play right after. This was a two-play drive, two-play touchdown drive. Sweep. Boom. Look at the blocking out front. Look at how many guys we get out front. Two-play drive, right? People are like, oh, yeah, you're wing T. You're 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I'm not sure we are. Like we're a home run hitting team. Big plays. Nice stinking execution. Clawwitter there at the second level. Belly keep on Parker. Look at this. We didn't run a lot of these this year, but you can see Parker getting his chance. Nice hurdle there. Wheel pass. This is a nice wheel pass. Watch this. Parker to Wills. That one iced the game right there. 91 Hula. How about a little hook and ladder against Leroy? Boom. Rutledge to Bruck on a big third down. We needed that one. And it was the first little bit of momentum we had in that game. We needed that. Nice wagons here to Clawwitter. This one set up our first touchdown against Leroy in the first quarter. We started off really slow. We started to get a little momentum here. Nice play, nice throw, nice catch. This one was big. I like this play. I wanted to show this one. This against Gibson City gets us out of trouble. Parker has to make this throw on scissors pass under pressure. Gets out to Tyler. Tyler makes a nice little sideline run. Pretty awesome. And then here's this. Look at that. What is it? 67. This was a 73-yard run on this scissors. Boom, boom. Oh, this is the first scissors. This is the one that didn't go for 7. This one goes for 30. But look at Chris here. Like this is where I look at Chris Gould. Boom. Here's Chris Gould on this kick out. Boom. Cleaning guys up. Nice wheel pass here. Stinking nice. Love it. And those are things Wills does well too, man. He just goes up and gets it. Had to throw in the Tyler Brown field goal. Tyler Brown field goal after a good drive against Gibson City to make the game 6-3 with our emergency holder in with Bockelman. Boom. Is good. Under pressure. Pretty awesome. Then here's that scissors play. Another nice block by Chris Gould right up front, and then a great run in traffic here by Cooper. Really great run in traffic. Watch it. You can see how good of a run it is by Cooper from the end zone film. Watch how he has to make a cut, switch the ball hands, turn on the jets. I mean, it's awesome. You can see how chaotic it is as they're in there as a running back. Sometimes these running backs make it look easy, but it's chaos in there, and you got to find your way through it. I want to go back to that sideline play. I want you guys to watch. Remember I was talking about Rapson? Rapson had just been taken out of the game defensively, right? This is a time where most kids would sit and pout, but watch this, what Rapson does on this play. You can tell me if this looks like a kid who's pouting or a kid that loves his team. Look at that. Sprinting and celebrating. Sprinting. Can't get by his teammates enough to celebrate. Look at that. That's a great moment. I mean, those are one of the things that keep me coaching. That's a great moment. He's happy for his team. I love that so much. Here's that play, 4th and 24. Throw it up. Twills, just throw it up. Magic play call. What a play. What a catch, man. Nice throw, an incredible catch. Oh, this is a nice play against Calhoun. Look at Rutledge here. Great little route. He's got to get off this kid who covers very well, keep leverage, and makes this play in traffic, right? These are the things, like, I do not doubt Rutledge on this play. Like, this is a really hard catch, and I don't doubt him. This is who he is. Great job getting us time to throw, offensive line. Great throw, Parker, on the money. Keeping your cool, right? The pressure's closing in. You keep your cool, step up. Like, I watch Parker's feet here. Gather and gain. That's what we teach. Gather, gain. All the stuff we're teaching. So cool. What a great play. And then a little wheel pass. I remember before this, I told you Gerard makes suggestions. He said, well, he's like, we could call 2 plays. He's like, we could call wheel pass right here and score a touchdown, or we could run. And I remember saying, I'll take the touchdown, please. So we called wheel pass. Sure enough, touchdown. Nice job keeping the play alive by Parker, right in the playoff game. And then come back later, we got a mismatch out here against Tyler Wills against this tiny guy. I mean, this was not supposed to be a throw to Tyler. We're going to run crisscross here. And you can hear me yell. The guys look out and go, whoa, check. Let's go 93. Let's just throw it to Tyler. And we do, and great throw, great catch. Boom. We go up 14-13. Pretty awesome. And that's the highlights. All right, guys. Highlights are done. Back to the main screen. Only a couple things left. Let's do awards. I want to do varsity awards. I'm going to skip weight room leaders for time's sake, but let me tell you, when it comes to weight room leaders, if you want to have a great football team, you have to be committed to the weight room for the full year. Not part of the year, full year. You have to be committed to the weight room full year. And I think that our program is doing an incredible job with this. Keep encouraging your kids in the weight room. Keep feeding your kids. They got to eat like it's their job. It takes a lot. But if we're going to be any good, we got to be committed to that weight room full time, all the time. Let's do awards and finish this off. Awards, and then I'm just going to touch on our next summer, and we will call it a day. We're at 2 hours and 17 minutes of awards. Don't know if anybody's still here, or if you're going to come back to it later. Either way, I'm sure you'll watch this at some point. Let's go to awards. Take my screenshots down. The first awards are what we call our peer awards. So at the end of the year, we asked our kids to vote on some awards. So these are all awards selected by their peers, and I've ordered each of these as a plaque. In fact, they're probably at the trophy place right now, ready as plaques, ready to go, and the kids will get these when they get back from school. Hopefully it makes it to your wall. But we're going to go through some of our end of the year awards, so I hope that you guys will enjoy this. I always struggle with end of the year awards. I'm like, do I give anything? Because it's hard in a game like football, where it's such a team game, no one man could do anything by himself. You don't want to give awards. But at the same time, it is what it is. Sometimes we have people that they're going the next step above and beyond, or they're outperforming. And so it is what it is. You have award winners. So let it be what it is. Give these guys a pat on their back and be happy for them that they had an award. Our first one, voted on by his peers, Outstanding Defensive Back on the Year, Braden Brucker. Great job, Braden. Well earned, one of our top defenders, and he works his tail off back there, and you can count on him. Our next one, voted on by his peers for outstanding D lineman, Jared Fulcher. Great job, Jared. Voted on by your peers as the outstanding D lineman, and he was a force to be reckoned with. We would flip him sides and just try to give offenses something to think about because he was so much of a problem and hard to handle. Excited for him to continue to get better at football and get bigger and stronger. Outstanding linebacker on the year, voted on by his peers, Calvin Andrews won that award. Great job, Calvin. Voted on by your peers as our outstanding linebacker. Bright future ahead for Calvin. Most improved, we had a tie on this one. Most improved, voted on by their peers as Chris Gould and Devin Porzelius. Give them a hand. Great job by those two, both of them most improved on the year. And I think it's mostly because they just, went from like role players to standout players. And I think they're both very well earned. Most outstanding offensive back. This is the only other award I think that tied, and it was within a percentage point by their peers voted on. Outstanding offensive back, Braden Brucker and Cooper Johnson. Great job, you two. Well earned, an incredible 1-2 punch on the year. Voted on by their peers as outstanding offensive backs. Next is Calvin Andrews, voted on by his peers as outstanding offensive lineman. I think this is well earned. Again, our guy, he knew all the calls and really had to support his team through everything. And really our leader up front. So great job, Calvin, in earning that honor. The next awards I have are called our Ironman Awards. I think we have 5-6 Ironman Awards. Ironman Awards, I'm giving a plaque to each of our 5-6 men that had to play full time. Offense, defense couldn't come off the field. And I think it deserves an award because, number one, you have to be very talented to be a guy who doesn't come off the field. Like, this is an earned honor. And you have to be, number two, tough enough to not come off the field, right? So you have to not only be a great athlete, you have to be tough enough to be able to play while tired. That's hard. Not every kid can do it. You have to be tough enough physically to be able to defend. It's hard. Not every kid can do it, right? You have to have all those things going for you. You have to be smart enough to play offense full time. That's a hard combination. And we had 5-6 guys that were full-time Ironman awards. Don't come off the field. Jared Fulcher is our first one. Tyler Wills, Ironman Award. Doesn't come off the field. Again, well-earned honor. These guys get a plaque, get in their room, put them in their bedrooms. Ironman Award, Gage Gaber. Doesn't come off the field. Too good on both sides of the ball. Calvin Andrews. Doesn't come off the field. Too good on both sides of the ball. I think one more. Mason Clawwitter. All those guys earned the Ironman Award. Give those guys a hand. Great job, fellas. Obviously anchors of the team and just such a unique combo of talents that you guys were able to do it. So great work. Oh, Ironman, one more. Braden Brucker. How did I forget about Bruck? I was so scared to not go on to the next one because I didn't want anybody to see yet. But Brucker, Ironman 2, of course, full-time fullback, full-time safety. So those are my Ironmen. I think next it goes to our top 5 Piranha. Our top 5 Piranha, their picture goes on a big photo, metallic print that hangs in our locker room for as long as I'm the head coach here. They'll hang. And these are our top 5 Piranha. Piranha we take a lot of pride in it. We wear jerseys with their Piranha ranking on the back during practice. I think that a great defense comes from having a desire to get to the ball. And people will say, like, there's a quote on Twitter, a couple things. You can tell how much you love your teammates by how close you are to the ball when the whistle blows. And so this is pretty cool. And one saying we say a lot is, he who wants to get in on the play usually does. The kids that are anxious to play ball and want to help their team and get in on a play, they're usually there by the ball. And so these are our top Piranha guys. Number 5, Hunter Bockelman earned 5th place in Piranha this year. Great job, Bach. Piranha number 5, that plaque should get hung up in your room and you'll be on our poster. Number 4, Mason Clawwitter, Piranha number 4 on the year. Season long number 4. Special shout out to a guy that didn't make the top 5 Piranha. 2 special shout outs. Number 1 is number 6, Tyler Wills, who was a 2-time returning Piranha guy. And another one was Nick Rapson, who really he had top 5 Piranha percentage, but only playing in 4 games. We didn't feel like it was enough to put you on the poster and the whole year. But special shout outs for Piranha effort from those 2 guys. Number 3 Piranha, Jared Fulcher. Man, it's hard to get on Piranha from the D-line. It's a hard spot to get to it from. It's easier to get there from linebacker spots and a safety spot. But Jared Fulcher did it. He's a goer. Number 2 Piranha, Calvin Andrews. You know, people say things like, well, it's easier for you. You get there from Mike. Well, you know, there's a reason he plays Mike. You got to earn your spot on the defense, and Calvin earns his spot there in the middle. And then our number 1 Piranha guy, probably the highest Piranha guy I've personally coached, Braden Brucker. His effort is extraordinary. He's the first man. Almost every game, probably 8 or 9 of our 10 games, Brucker was the number 1 Piranha guy for that game. Brucker is ahead of everyone. He's a chaser. He's a Piranha warrior. He is something else with those. And those are our end of season awards. Thank you to everybody who joined us. I'm going to run through here real quick our summer plan just so you can briefly see it, what we're thinking on our summer. Let me switch over to the browser screen. This is a rough sketch of our summer. It's rough, meaning it's not all the details, it's the major things. Okay, this is July. We always work in July. Of course, we'll be lifting all summer long, most likely on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings. Please make it a priority to try to be there. But we will practice on Mondays after lifting. One good practice out there with everybody, freshmen through seniors. And we'll practice on this first Wednesday. And then we go team camp at Maroa. That's an overnight, a repeated trip. The next Wednesday is not an overnight. Team day at Lincoln High School. Should be back around dinner time. The next week is our overnight team getaway to East Bay Camp. We had a blast with that. We're going back. And then the following one and final one is our team day at home. So that's a really good look at our summer. We stay away from Thursday, Friday, Saturday as much as we can for you baseball players. We also do understand, parents, that you'll leave town at some point. And this is like I used to do all of our team camp during like 1 or 2 weeks. But what would happen is every family is likely to miss a week. And so if your week happened to line up with our week, you missed everything we did that summer. So instead of doing it like that, we try to do a little bit each week so that if you got to go on vacation or you go to a summer camp, Christian camp, whatever you go to, right, that you're not missing everything. You're going to miss 1/4 of what we do, which is way better than missing everything. So that's a rough sketch. There will be a few other things in here, right? Like we're going to do some frames after a lifting at some time. We might do a little bit of O-line time after a lifting in June. But this is a rough sketch of our biggest, most major events for next summer. Man, that, my friends, is a show. Thank you to all of you guys who are here to watch. Thank you for all those that help with Hey High Football. It is an honor to lead this program, and I hope that it's the last job that I have. I really do. I want to turn into an old fart coaching and an old man and retire from here. And I like the team that we got put together. I like the kids. I like our program. I love this school. I like this community, man. I hope that I can serve it well and do you guys justice. I hope that you have a great rest of the holidays. Good night.